Yo, 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 what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to another edition of Premium Takes. I'm your host, Zion Zenith, joined by the other four horsemen. I'll let them introduce themselves. And you know what? I'll probably just turn the intro to Mac because he does it the best.
Oh man, you should have put me on the spot. Thought you was great.
I
Take
just
care of it, Zion. But you know
put
what
you
it
on the
is.
spot,
Premium
dog.
takes. It's the Premium Takes podcast with the four horsemen: Zion Zenith, Adam Costas, NYGJeffyT3285, and of course myself, Mac the Giants fan. What's going on, everybody out there?
What up, what up, what up? What's going on, Adam? What's going on, Jeff? Thanks for joining us today. What's going on, Nate? Why do I
Mac
say that like you
always,
guys are not a part of the show? I'm sorry, Adam, to cut you off.
I just say Mac just always brings the heat, man. Hey, you're sitting there in your chair, you're like quiet, and then Mac talks and gets you fired up. So let's go.
Facts, facts. And I apologize for putting you on the spot like that, but I know you was going to bring the heat, so I knew it was a good choice.
He's
That being,
always going to bring that heat, and we're not talking about that Miami heat. We were just talking about the heat.
I love it. That being said, I just wanted to point out a couple of things before we go into today's episode. What's up, Blue City Empire Sports? Thank you so much for being here. We just covered some news real fast. So we got quarterback Zach Wilson diagnosed with a meniscus tear. At first, we thought it was an ACL sprain. He was going to be out for the season, but thank God it's not going to be that major. He should be making his return by mid-September, early September, maybe by week 3, week 5. He'll be back in the mix. We got running back James White retiring after 8 seasons. Most of you probably remember him for playing running back for the Patriots, winning that overtime against the Atlanta Falcons, bringing the Tom Brady his 5th ring. So that's running back James White retiring. Thank you, James White, for playing. Um, great player. Not average player, but had his moments. We have wide receiver Nick. Sorry, Nikhil Henry. A pickup from the Bears. Drafted by the New England Patriots. He has to undergo surgery. He got injured a while back. He's gonna be out for 8 weeks. Kirk Cousins tested positive for obviously COVID. Not going to be in this preseason game. Obviously, you don't see him on TV. You don't see him on the field. But that
What's
being
up,
said,
everybody?
he should be back to go, ready by start of the season. We'll see what happens with that. And Jake London, the knee injury he suffered on Saturday isn't expected to be that major. Isn't expected to reach that to be out that much. Anybody's thoughts on anything we covered? I just wanted to break down some of the major news that went on recently. Anybody's thoughts before we move into our next topic?
Well, it's just kind of funny because I listen to a radio show all the time on WFAN, Joe and Evan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. And they were actually just talking about the Jets. And the one thing
Mm-hmm.
that both of them say is, like, nothing really matters when it comes to preseason. It's like, it's pretty much just a preseason game. You don't really get much out of it. But it's like the one
Mm-hmm.
thing that could derail the season is Zach Wilson getting hurt. And then you obviously hear the news a couple of nights ago about Zach Wilson hurting his knee, and everybody just feared the worst because he tweaked his knee, limping off. You thought this is going to be it. It's going to be a season-ending injury. And it's been like, oh, it's the Jets again. Something always happens to the Jets. Something always bad happens to this franchise. But luckily, I'm happy at least that it wasn't as bad as at least, the initial test came out to be. So you wonder if they're probably just going to ease him back in. He might even miss a couple of games at the beginning of the season. But, just as a fan and hoping to see Zach Wilson, what he could do in his second year, you're happy at least the kid is, not going to be out for the season. So, I mean, I'm just at least happy to hear about that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally
Mac,
agreeing, man.
Adam.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. You count your blessings if you're a Jets fan, man, and the Jets organization, period, because the future of your organization looks like he will be around this year. I mean, it looked bad. The initial everybody seen when he went down and hobbled off the field. Initially, just first thoughts is ACL. It's got to be towards ACL, done for the year, and that would have just been disastrous for the Jets right now. And I think the Jets, they had really pretty good all season, so they got like a lot of promise going into this year. Still in a tough division. They're still nowhere ready for the Bills yet. So, I mean, let's just be honest about that. But they look to be a lot more competitive this year, and just continuing to grow. And Zach Wilson is going to be a big part of that. So they definitely dodged a huge bullet with Zach Wilson possibly only even missing maybe as much as only the first couple of games of the season. And it's even out of the realm that he's ready for week 1. Honestly, that's a possibility. It's not likely necessarily, but it's a possibility he could be ready for week 1, depending on how he heals up and how things go. So just knock on wood, man. Jets dodged a major bullet on Friday night.
If that were on MetLife Stadium turf, he's probably blown out his knee. But thankfully, it was on grass, so it probably a little bit more give in the ground for when he made the move. It's unfortunate. We run to Twitter, we run to these outlets who you never know. I mean, I was in a discussion with a Jet fan. You guys know him. I've talked to him a lot, and he was doom and gloom. And I even told him, I said, "Hey, man, what do you think? I mean, Zach Wilson was apparently walking into the locker room, no hobble, no nothing. He's like, oh, yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst." And it's like, all right, man. And, I got to believe what he believes because, he's in it more than me. But it turns out everybody was wrong, rushed to conclusions. The only thing I would say, though, is for Zach Wilson, is if you had this knee injury, which he did prior to the season, we need to figure something out for you, young buck. Is this going to be a degenerative knee? Does it need surgery? Will it be corrected? Because right now, you ain't helping yourself by not being on the field. You know what I mean? You ain't helping yourself by having a bad knee from last year. And he's got to get a little arthroscopic surgery done to clean up the meniscus. And then the PCL, if I were him, I'd wear a brace, some type of brace, even if it's like a neoprene type of brace, just to keep that in place while you go if you're not comfortable with having surgery.
You just got to be smarter too. Decision making out there when you're running with the football. Be smart, protect yourself, and just you got to remember you got to be there for your team.
I wanted to say something on that. He didn't do anything wrong in this regard. I know people are like, well, if he shouldn't have ran, so he doesn't run. And you don't get. I know it's not a preseason game, but natural instinct is he wants to run. I can't have a guy pull back on him being competitive because we want to save him for the preseason. If you want to save him for the preseason, don't play him. Like that's the only thing. If you don't want to play your guy, then don't play your guy. I'd rather have more respect in you doing that than telling a guy to go out there and then saying, well, you got to be smart. He's playing the game to play the game, right? He juked the guy out. Yeah, he was trying to get an extra yard, but it wasn't like he got hit in the game. He just juked, and the defender missed him, and he fell over on his own. So for me, I can't blame him per se on that. Because our quarterback does the same thing, you know what I mean? And if he makes a big guy miss, he makes a big guy miss. So I can't blame him on that. However, if you want to say maybe that play shouldn't have been called or he shouldn't have been in the game, we can have that discussion as well.
What up, champ? What up, Big Blue Corner? What up, Stefan? Thank you guys so much for joining in. Let's get back to Blue City Empire real fast. Did you guys hear that Bill Belichick was upset with the New York Giants defense? It was blitzing a lot. Did you guys hear about that?
Yes.
I didn't, but it's football, and I don't care. Go cry me a river. It's football. You do what you want to do. Coach your team the way you want to coach your team, and we're gonna do what we want to do from our sideline. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's talking about gamesmanship, but because he's vanilla. But I mean, like your twos are beating our ones, so I don't really care. We need to see something. This is another thing that gets on my nerves. Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to not game plan for preseason." Why? If you only have a certain number of dress rehearsals out there, right? Or I guess dress rehearsals or games to prepare for the regular season. Why on God's green earth am I going to hold things back? Oh, people are going to see. Listen, Bill Belichick's been spying on people since day one. They do that shit. You just need to change it up, because if you're going to go in and week out with the same plays, then you're an idiot. And you don't deserve to be a head coach. I mean, come on. We're sitting here talking about, they don't throw any. If you want to work on a flea flicker, well, damn it, work on a flea flicker. If you want to work on an end around, damn it, work on the end around. Don't worry about them saving, because how do you even know that's the guy that's going to get the end around? How do you know Richie James gets the end around? That guy's even on the fucking team. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you need to see guys in situations, and the only way to see them in situations is in games.
It's just crying. I don't know why he's just whining about it. So what? The Giants want to try to rush the passer in a preseason game. Why? Belichick's the last person who should be crying about anything with everything that's happened with him over the years. I don't want to hear it. This is football, okay? Pass rushers are supposed to rush the quarterback. You're supposed to blitz. I don't just.
Well,
It's so
just not for
ridiculous.
nothing. Not for nothing. The Giants are putting in new systems on both sides of the football. They got a lot of work to do. As we saw Thursday night, they still got a lot of work to do. So we
Yep.
got to do what we got to do to get our guys ready. It's not about what you want us to do, Bill Belichick, for the sake of your guys, your team, whatever. It's not about that. New York Giants play the way they got to play to get their team ready, to get us ready for the season. And that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter. You do what you want to do. You want to play your little third stringers against our starters, then so be it. That's what you chose to do. That's what you choose to do as a coach. I don't want to hear crying and complaining about what another team is doing in
Did they
the
rest their
preseason.
starters? Did they rest their
Yes.
starters in 2007 when they could have easily cruised to a game like that? No, they said fuck it, we want to win and we want to play. So guess what? This is what the Giants want to do. They want to work on blitz packages. Have those guys that were blitzing in the third and fourth quarter probably ain't even going to be on the team. But you need to know if a few of those guys, Darian Beavers, Cam Brown, Micah McFadden, if they're getting what you're teaching them, the only way they pass the exam is if you test them. The only way they get tested is in the game. What in the hell is in the background?
No, you can get.
Maybe later on we can go to store and it's cool. So, what's your next broadcast?
Okay, hold on.
Later?
I don't want to hear from Bill Belichick. I agree with you 100% back. I mean, the Giants have a new scheme that they're working on offense and defense. So they want to try to see what some of these guys can do as the reserve players and how they look in that blitz package. So if anything, this is part of football. You want to see what these second and third teamers can do out there on the field. If they have to, blitz a little bit against your second or third team quarterback, so be it.
Well, think about this.
How about your offensive line stop them? Your
Think
offensive
about
line
this.
stonewall that blocking. There you go.
We don't have Blake Martinez in the game, right? We don't have Carter Coughlin playing this game. We don't have a few of the guys that maybe normally would be on the team. How do we know the coaches don't know they're going to get cut, right? And say, well, this guy, we need to see him because A, he's available, and B, we need to see if he can pass the test. And the test is, hey, blitz the A gap on such and such a play. You need tape evaluation so you can go back and teach them, hey, please don't go this way, please do it this way, or please don't do this, please do it this way. You know what I mean? Like, this is football. This is the only way you get evaluations, especially for a lot of the young guys. And the first game is a dress rehearsal, right? They need a chance to get out there and make some plays. So Bill Belichick's just a curmudgeon because guess what? He's done the same thing to people in games. I even think that he blitzed against the Giants years ago in the preseason when we had like Pat Shurmur and Ben McAdoo and those guys. I think Shurmur was like, oh, I don't like the fact that they were blitzing. And Bill Belichick's like, that's football. So now we do it to you, and you're worried. You think that Brian Dable, since he's your friend, is not supposed to blitz? Give me a break.
And also, this is the coach that had a lot of other coaches over the years say, like, he always runs up the score on their opponents, even when the game is over. So, you know what? Bill, cry us a river. We don't care. We want to see what our players can do in the defensive scheme and see how they look in the blitz packages. Too bad. You think the Ravens, who were like 21-0 in preseason, don't think about wanting to win? It's about winning the game. The Giants had a chance to work on something you can't work on in practice, and that's a game time situation where you need to blitz the quarterback to get the ball back for your team so they can go down and score. And that's what the Giants did. Okay? That's what they do. And I know Bill Belichick can get mad all you want. Well, guess what? I'm pretty sure that next week the Bengals are going to bring the heat a little bit because they're going to be one game closer to opening day, and they're going to need to work on some things that they may not want to work on. This is what I'm talking about preseason. You need a boxer doesn't get ready by just sparring with his opponents. He has to have some exhibition fights to get his mettle up, his stamina up, his fights, to see if his right hook is connecting the correct way. Otherwise, you're fighting the same guys. You don't learn shit.
Absolutely. That's well said. And since you guys are on the topic, let's just jump into if you guys, I think you're folding it down. Let's talk preseason. Let's give our thoughts. I know you guys gave some of you guys thoughts, but let's give thoughts in depth on the Giants versus Patriots preseason game or any other preseason game you guys may have enjoyed.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I liked in the Giants preseason game, at least, is I like some of the young players that were out there on the field. Like, I really One of the players that I was watching closely that I was thoroughly happy to see was Darian Beavers. I think we might have something in this kid. I know it's one preseason game. Let's not go crazy. There's still plenty of more we could see from this kid, but his instincts look very strong. He was attacking the football. He seems to have pretty good lateral speed out there. I think we might have something with this kid just by the eye test and his instincts alone. Darian Beavers looks like a player that we might have. The one thing that makes me a little scared, and I know people aren't going to want to hear it, the injuries. The Giants are starting to pile up injuries now on this team. Minor, yes, but still reps you're missing on this team right now. And we already lost a decent amount of offensive linemen. I mean, Shane Lemieux left the game on Thursday. He's dealing with a toe injury, and just by what Brian Dable said today, it doesn't sound very vague that he's going to be around for maybe the rest of training camp and preseason. He could even be a question mark going into the season. So that's, more of that rotation and you have in the offensive line. Jameel Douglas, while he wasn't good, he still got hurt as well. He's another offensive lineman he just lost today. So it's just like the offensive line right now, you need to try to get some type of continuity between these guys, and you're just having rotation after rotation after rotation. The rookie Josh Azudu is also banged up. He barely even played. He looked pretty decent, but, I mean, he was banged up during the game. So just from my perspective, the injuries are making me a little bit nervous because we're starting to lose guys now. Even though it's nicks and bruises, you still could use this valuable time to work on your offensive and defensive reps as well as your continuity. And you could tell, especially like a guy like Kadarius Toney, while we all know the guy has incredible upside, he should be out there working on some more reps with Daniel Jones, try to get that quarterback and wide receiver timing down to a T. And now he's missing a bunch. Now he's missing at least some more time due to the injury. So I worry a little bit about the injuries when it comes to this team right now. It could, even though they are minor, you still don't like seeing players who are going to be probably contributors with this team going forward being on the sidelines this early in training camp.
You want to tackle Cole's question, Jeff?
I mean, it depends. I mean, it really depends on the certain guys that are hurt. I mean, some of the backups, they might not even make the roster. Like, Jameel Douglas, who even knows if he's going to make the roster, so I'm not really worried about him. But a guy like Ellison Smith, I know I'm like jumping ahead a little bit. I apologize, but like he got banged up again. This is a guy you were just counting on as a potential key part of your defensive rotation on the defensive line. Like I mentioned, Shane Lemieux, your potential starting left guard. Josh Azudu, who you're thinking is going to be the backup guard or your swing guard pretty much. He's banged up right now. Cordell Flott, your rookie who actually looked pretty impressive when he was out there playing for the Giants in that game, he got banged up. Now he's dealing with a groin injury. So it's these injuries that you don't want to get too crazy about. Kadarius Toney, he's banged up now. You don't want to get crazy about it, but at the same time, these are valuable reps that some of these guys you need on the field are not there right now. And you have to be a little bit concerned, not like jumping off the bridge or anything, but you have to be a little bit concerned because some of these guys that you're counting on to be part of this team early in the season, they're missing time already, and that's never a good thing.
Well, I hear you, bro, with the injuries and yeah, you're right. Health is always going to be a key, but at the same time, football is a physical sport and people get hurt, man. And that's part of the next man up road, the next man up mantra, man. That I believe fully in. Everybody has got to be ready to get when their name is called, man. Everybody. So these guys unfortunately are down, injured and down, and you got to work with what you got, and you got to build the guys up that you have to work with, man. The guys that are healthy and ready to go, man. That's just the way I believe in me, because football, people are going to get hurt, man. It's just not. You're not going to get through a season and people not getting banged up, injured, nicked up. You just got to have that next man up mentality. You got to stay focused. You always got to be ready. It's like something Tyrod Taylor said, man, in an interview a couple weeks ago or whatever, last week maybe, whenever he was talking to the media, man. He prepares every day like as if he's a starter, even though he's not. You know what I mean? It's just you got to be ready when your number's called, man. That means that goes for everybody on that roster. Everybody in training camp right now. These guys are hurt. These guys are knocked out. Then you got to just step in and maybe make a name for yourself, man. Take that opportunity, possibly seize the moment. We don't want anybody getting hurt, but they're going to get hurt. That's just the way it is, man. And the next guys got to step up. Like we see Richie James having a big day on Thursday night, man. That kid looks like he's a possible keeper, man. I mean, right now, it's a really, really impressive performance by him on Thursday night. So it's just things like that. Guys like that got to just gotta rise, man, and take the moment, seize their opportunities when they get them. Because unfortunately, if everybody just stay healthy, those little guys like that wouldn't get opportunities, to be honest. So they got to seize the moment when their number's called, man.
Absolutely. You was gonna say something, Jeff?
No, I mean, one of the two things. I mean, I know Awesome Finesse, he made it up. Almighty Finesse said a good point about Antonio Williams. I would say the entire running back room, actually, including Saquon Barkley, had a pretty solid preseason game to open it. I really liked Gary Brightwell. I mean, you have to wonder, what was Joe Judge
thinking?
doing?
I was going to say the same thing.
What was he thinking with this kid?
I was thinking the same thing when I saw Gary Brightwell.
Yes.
When I saw Brightwell run that ball the way he was running on Thursday night. Are you kidding me, Joe Judge? You didn't give this kid a chance last year to do anything. You never even gave him an opportunity, and he's running the ball like that. What changed over the course of the year just because we got new coaches? All of a sudden, Brightwell just decided I'm going to lower my shoulder and lower the boom on people? No, I'm sure he was doing that last year too. And for whatever reason, he was in Joe Judge's doghouse, apparently, because he never even got an opportunity.
I think a lot of people were in Joe Judge's doghouse last year. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Him too.
Yeah,
Him too, Blue City.
But I just think first off, Darren Beavers is going to be a starter at some point. He brings more physicality than Tate Crowder. And at first it's funny because he goes up and he misses the tackle. I'm like, is that Tate Crowder? And it says 41. I'm like, damn. And I think what happened was he needed to get that first initial hit, out of the way, because you've been practicing all the time, right? So sometimes your brain is, as a rookie, you're not ready. It's like when the guy spikes the ball in the game, not realizing that he's not down, right? In football, I think that's what happened, because after that play, he didn't miss a tackle or anything after that. As far as the running backs, I thought they were all good. Brightwell, it's funny because they're showcasing Brightwell. I'm like, is somebody getting traded? Because I'm like, why are they showcasing all these backs? You have 4 backs. What are you going to do? To me, I'm like, I'm already planning, bye Saquon, because we don't need you, man. We have these 3 backs here can easily tote the mail. Not saying I don't want Saquon Barkley. I'm just saying, if he were to leave and these guys got experience, I could see the Giants saying, you know what, we can get Antonio Williams. We got Brightwell, we got Burita. You're out of our price range, Barkley. Sorry. And I don't know, man. I think a lot of things happened in that game that were very interesting. A lot of things also need to be taken with a grain of salt, i.e. the second team. I know everyone's raving about how the first team went down the field, but the first team was still clunky to me. They weren't fluid. They weren't smooth. And I know that people want to talk about it, but if you watch the Eagles played, right, they had one series. They went one series against the Jets defense, scored a touchdown. Next series, they scored with Gunnar Minshew after an interception happened. You know what I'm saying? If you're playing second teamers, I expect dominance. I'm sorry. I expect you to go down there and score in 4 plays. These are bums you're playing against. 2s. And it took you 12 plays, 68 yards. And, the other series, they get sacked and stuff. I'm like, yo, I need this team, first team, to go out and dominate. Next week, I don't want to see us score against second teamers. I want to see us score against Bengals 1s. Then I will start to be like, all right, I can believe in this. Daniel Jones, he has a pocket when even that pocket was collapsing with second team guys. You want me to believe this team is going to hold up against actual defense? Those are the things I worry about, And then on defense, Aaron Robinson, my God, get your head out of your ass, bro. They're coming for you. Either man up or get off the field, because that's Brian Hoyer throwing deep balls to you, beating you down the field. Terrible.
That dude's got a target on his back.
Since you kind of you went there with Aaron Robinson,
I was actually going to bring him up.
He was up and down. He was definitely up and down performance on Thursday, but he's still there. He's in the position to make the plays. He's got to make the plays. You know what I mean? He's not like he's just getting totally burnt, just out of oblivion. He wasn't getting beaten badly on these plays. He was still in position to make plays. He just has to make them, and they are going to be coming after his ass. So
I beg to differ. The first play, he got lucky because the guy threw the ball. The second play, they were like, all right, we're going to take our 4-2 guy and run you up the sideline, and that guy got beat clearly, and it was thrown right in there. Yeah, he made the tackle after the guy had already caught the ball, kept his feet in bounds, and made the big play. So I'm worried about Aaron Rodgers. I'm worried about actual quarterbacks that might take advantage of this. And this is preseason. Brian Hoyer is beating you. You know, imagine if that was Tom Brady on the other end. That would have been easy touchdown. They're like, all right, we got this. Bye. You know. And if the Giants are going to run cover 0, which they have run in that game, there was a couple slant routes that got caught by the Patriot receivers because they were running cover 0. There's going to be some plays where they're going to, you know, you're going to need to make a tackle. And let's hope Aaron Robinson is in position, because if there's a guy that's got some breakaway speed and he happens to beat him, that could be 60 in a heartbeat.
Well, one other guy I'm going to go ahead, man.
I was going to say Aaron Robinson. I think he. From what looking based off that game, yeah, it wasn't, like I said, obviously wasn't a great performance, but at the same time, I think with reps, this kid looks like he'll be okay. I think with reps, with legitimate, continuous reps, practice, working on it, I think he looks like he'll be.
He's not going to be a shit show.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's not just going. They're going to go after him, obviously, because why? You're going to pick your poison. You're going to go after Aaron Robinson as opposed to Adoree Jackson, but I think Aaron Robinson will be okay ultimately when it's all said and done. I just look like the kid looks like he's pretty much a player in my opinion as well. Like he's just going to need more continuous reps and more growth, man. He's still pretty inexperienced. He didn't get that much time last year, being injured most of the season last season. So he's got to just get his legs under him a little bit more, and I think he will be okay, man. And if I can just touch the offensive line real quick, because you kind of touched that as well. Yes, This pass blocking is still not even remotely where it needs to be, man. And I get that's going to take some time and continuity, but that one play when Daniel Jones got sacked, yeah, I got to call out number 7 overall pick, man. Evan Neal, man, you got absolutely destroyed on that play, bro. Like absolutely destroyed on that play. So this pass blocking situation, it still looked very, very shaky. One thing I will credit Daniel Jones is he was hanging in there and still trying to get the ball down the field. I will give him that much. But
he does that all the time, though. That's not something new. That's the problem that I have I didn't really have much of a problem with Daniel. People are going to be like, oh my God, really? He doesn't have a problem with Daniel? No, he was pedestrian. You know, he did okay. You know, there are some things that he needs to work on. Like the throw to Jeremiah Hall. Terrible throw.
Yeah, that was terrible.
You got to make
wide open sitting there.
Everyone's like, oh, well, it's Jeremiah Hall. I'm like, dude, I don't care if that guy has 2 left feet for hands. You got to put it in a spot where he can catch the damn football and turn upfield. You can't miss that out of the flat, because guess what? You hit Barkley in his head. you hit Barkley in the same spot. You hit Barkley in the same spot. Why? Is because it's 26. It's an easier throw to make. These are things that needs to work on, and they're going to cost us down the road. Like
even that throw to Galladay, like Barkley was wide open.
Don't get me started with him. Do not get me started with him. I lose my patience with him.
Well, the thing with Galladay is this. First off, why are we running go routes with a guy who runs a 4.6? Okay, that's my first thing. Like you're running a go like that. You know, it's funny. I saw that play that Mac's talking about where DJ lofts the ball up in the air to kind of the fade route to the end zone, right? And I'm like, yo, if that's Eli and Plax, that's a touchdown. Like that's Eli and Plax. That's just a touchdown. Their chemistry was just so good that even in the first year they just had the magic. These 2 guys look like they don't even like each other. It's like fucking water and oil. You know what I'm saying? This shit does not work. It just not work out. He's not meant for this offense. The guy like Colin Johnson, who's the same height, same speed, is doing the same thing. I looked at this, right? I said, if Colin Johnson had Kenny Galladay's numbers last year, we'd be sucking his you-know-what. Oh, my God, we've got to find – I can't believe he had 500 yards, right? Kenny Galladay has 500 yards. We're like, can we have our money back? You know what I mean? Like, can I get a receipt on the fucking purchase of Kenny Galladay? Because I need some store credit, some NFL credit, whatever you want to give me. The Detroit Lion credit. I'll take on some other bums if you can take him back. You know what I mean? So, you know, and the thing that pissed me off about Kenny is like, you're supposed to be a leader on this team, dog. You're supposed to be a leader, and you're running that lazy ass route. Now, granted, Daniel didn't throw it, you know, great, but you know, that's in your hands. Sorry. That's like the mailman dropping the mail. Come on, that's his job or her job to put the mail in the mailbox. You know, catch the fucking ball.
I don't want to hear it. This guy was brought in to be a contested catch guy. You make that catch. Even if it's a little bit off kilter, you pluck the ball away from him and you make that catch. Kenny Galladay is obviously, I mean, everything you hear in practice and what you see on the field, this guy looks like the worst system fit you can have in this offense. He's slow. He can't separate. Every report you hear about Kenny Golladay, you watch what he watched in the game and everything you hear in the practice, he's plastered by quarterbacks. He can't separate worth a damn. He's struggling with drops now. It sounds like he doesn't even care out there. I mean, maybe we're just overblowing it and it just used to be the preseason vibes. Maybe he's just nursing some type of little minor injury. I don't know what the hell is wrong with this guy right now, but just something's not right now in Kenny Golladay because he just doesn't seem like he cares at all. It just seems like when he's out there, like you guys were mentioning, he's like lollygagging right now. He's just like running through the motions or something. He is. I would rather see, honestly, Colin Johnson going forward because that guy, at least, he actually impressed me a little bit. He was separating pretty decently from the cornerbacks. He was making some nice catches out there. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to go crazy about the fumble. That was a nice play by the defender on that play. I think he was switching his hands while he was carrying the ball, and that's why the fumble occurred. I actually would rather see Colin Johnson there because I think he actually fits this offense a little bit more in terms of his skill set than Kenny Golladay. Maybe he goes out there, he shuts us all up, and he actually plays better than we think. But right now, everybody is absolutely down on this guy for obvious reasons. He's not displaying what we want to see as a leader. He looks slow in and out of his breaks. He doesn't look like he cares. He's not even making contested catches anymore. He just looks like an awful system fit. We all hope he could turn it around, but right now, it's not looking good for number 19 right now with the Giants. And like you were just mentioning, Adam and Mac, he looks like he has no chemistry at all with Daniel Jones. And those fade passes, it's painful to watch sometimes when they do those.
Let me address that right there. This right here. I mean, look, it's looking pretty bad right now. It is as a free agent signing, but nothing will be as bad as Albert Haynesworth when the Redskins sign Albert Haynesworth. Yeah. Nothing can ever be worse than that. That dude absolutely stole money from Washington. So I mean, Golladay hasn't done anything for the Giants yet either, but at the same time, it's nowhere near in the stratosphere of what Albert Haynesworth signing some years ago.
Before I get into the second quarterback who had some moments of his own, I want to say, look at the other games that we've watched. This is what concerns me. Okay, other teams are going down and scoring touchdowns against first teamers, against second teamers, right? Our first team against second teamers couldn't get the job done in this game, and that's concerning. And to me, I don't want to, be the guy that everyone talks about, like, oh, Adam, all you do is be negative. That's all you ever point out. It's like, no, I point out the things you don't want to look at or maybe don't see because you're excited about winning a preseason game, which I don't mind winning either. But what I'm trying to point out is these games are only going to get harder and harder as we go. The fact that we're losing guys, like Jeff says, it fucks up the chemistry. The fact that we're going to have guys that may not even be here, trying to, like Bredesen. The practice today, for example. Practice today, everybody was horrible, especially the quarterback. The guy behind him wasn't horrible. You can tell, you know why he wasn't horrible? Because his name wasn't all over the damn blotter in Twitter. He's not the one that threw 2 picks today. You know what I'm saying? I know it's practice, but my point is I need to see more. I need to see if you're a first teamer, you need to go down and score and then be out the field. The reason you got 2 drives is because you kicked the field goal.
It's concerning for me at practice today that Ben Bredesen was supposed to come in and play center, and then he had to switch over to guard because of the fact that Azudu now is banged up. It's just like, this is something you cannot afford right now when you're just putting together an offensive line to protect Daniel Jones. People forget it takes a while for an offensive line to gel, and you're already losing guys that could be part of your offensive line. That's not good. It's going to make the offensive line take more time to gel together. So that's why I was mentioning about the injuries, especially for that offensive line. Offensive lines out of every position probably take the longest to gel. You have to know where the person next to you is, like where he's going to block, how he's going to move right to left. You have to know all these little things with your offensive lineman in terms of continuity. And when you keep rotating guys, especially the fact like rotating where now we're center and left guard. Feliciano left the practice today too. I mean, this guy's been like
Feliciano
constantly. He's been out of the lineup the whole time. This is the thing I get concerned about. You think people could say I'm overblowing it right now. You need your offensive line to have continuity. Daniel Jones is probably going to be looking at it right now, be like a little bit nervous when that big guy, Jeffrey Simmons, who's coming on, he's coming. He's going to be looking right now at the interior offensive line of that Giants team that is rotating guys in and out. And he's probably licking his chops right now, thinking about the type of havoc he can cause on Daniel Jones and that Giants running game. Just saying.
I agree there. I agree 100%. This is why I know people say it's only preseason, right? But you have to look at it in a bigger level, on a bigger level, as in, what am I looking at? Feliciano was getting blown off the ball anyways. First play of the game, they run that dumb little reverse. Who's in the backfield? Number 96 of the Patriots. That's our guy, right? Bretterson, to me, play better at center. Now, again, it's against second teamers. To me, this game, let him be, if injuries don't make him move, make him the center. Let's see what he can do, because do we have something in this kid? He played his best game as a Giant yesterday or a couple days ago at center. The best game we've seen him. Even beat reporters are saying it, and people around the Giants are saying it. Like, he played a phenomenal game at center. But what happens now with these injuries, he's not going to get that burn. You know what I mean? They wanted to see Shane Lemieux as a center. That's what they even said. And he gets a toe injury. Well, now they said it's a foot injury, which is worse than a toe injury, because it was a foot injury. I'm like, all right, whatever. Maybe it's a little turf toe. Now it's a foot injury. That means it could break. It could be broken. Could have a crack. Could have a stress fracture. Who knows? It's a lot more when it's a foot as opposed to just a toe.
And I hate to say it too, for everybody thinking that these two guys are going to come back and save the day. Nick Gates and Matt Peart are not saving the day. They're nice backups when they're actually healthy. Well, Gates can be a solid center. He's not an all-pro. I know, I slipped there a little bit. Matt Peart, I mean, let's not go crazy. The guy we were all saying that this guy sucks and you shouldn't even he was a detriment on that offensive line. And then see some people saying that this guy might be our savior in terms of a swing tackle. What has Matt Peart done? And he's also coming off a serious injury. So we have some problems on the offensive line. And like Adam mentioned a little bit earlier, Evan Neal is going to be a guy that's going to have to take time to learn the NFL in terms of playing right tackle. He's not automatically just going to become Rashawn Slater. I mean, not all offensive linemen are going to be like Rashawn Slater. They just click at the beginning of the season. It will
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for mentioning that.
Time.
Because
he's not going to be good automatically. It's going to take time for this guy to learn. I'm sorry, Adam.
Well, he wasn't horrible.
He wasn't bad.
His pass blocking needs a lot of work from what I saw. His run blocking standpoint, he's a road grader. He can move people out the way. He does that pretty well already. His pass blocking, from what I saw, still needs a lot more polish on it though. Because like I said, that play when Daniel Jones got sacked, he got beaten badly to the inside, man. There was a couple other people in the backfield. That was inevitably going to be a sack, regardless of. It just happened to be Evan Neal's guy that got the first touch. But you guys bring up a great point. This is why I keep telling you about Bud Dupree and Harold Landry. That's why I keep bringing them up. Nobody wants to listen to me. I keep beating this drum. If they find a weakness, it's going to be like chum in the water. It's going to be like Shark Week in fucking Tennessee. They're going to be like, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, well, Evan Neal can't seem to guard Harold Landry. Well, we're going to blitz from that side and see if Daniel Jones can beat us with his arm and the timing gets right. I'm just saying, these are the type of things that you're seeing. The fact that the practice was so bad today means this team needs a lot of work. Like a lot of work. This is why I'm saying 7 wins, good. I love 7 wins. I don't know why people are like, oh, fuck that, let's get more. Just win 7 games. If you happen to luck into the playoffs because the rest of the division and conference is terrible, okay, we'll discuss that when we get there. But we can't even, field a team right now. There's 10 guys injured that are banged up, nicked up, or going to miss time some point in this camp or the rest of these preseason games. And like Jeff said, the chemistry. I mean, Ricky Seals-Jones, he's on a milk box. People were telling me who this guy was.
Who even knows who this guy is?
Ricky Seals-Jones, that's what I'm saying. People are like, oh, well, he's great, man. He did Whoa, where is he? What has he done for me? What has he got pictures of Brian Dable naked? Is that how he's going to make the team? That's the only way. That's the only way he makes it.
Speaking of a problem, the tight end group. I mean, I know Bellinger, he looked good in terms of blocking, but I mean, he's still a rookie. And Austin Allen, I mean, the guy has been strong. The guy has been pretty much playing towards the end of the game. So, I mean, we thought this guy could maybe be a surprise player. If Andre Miller didn't get hurt, this is probably a possibility Austin Allen's on the bubble to even make this team. Because, I mean, the tight end position, the blocking might be solid, but, I mean, the depth scares me. We're trying to go into the season relying on some
Well,
rookies
let me
to carry
yes.
us in terms of that position. That worries me a little bit in terms of that tight end position.
Apparently, the guys aren't looking as advertised. Daniel Bellinger's average. Yeah, what did you expect? He's a 4th-round rookie. There's a reason the guy drafted in the 4th round. It's the same reason we're having a conversation with Aaron Robinson. His game is flawed. That's why he went in the 3rd round. There's a reason why these prospects get drafted where they get drafted. There's a reason why these guys need to take time. He's not playing at Arizona State anymore, or San Diego State, where the fuck he played. Okay, where the guy that's over that played on the team is probably teaching high school or something. You know what I mean? It's not like this guy's going to the NFL. He's playing NFL prospect. No offense to anybody he played at San Diego State. You know, being a teacher's a good thing. I'm just saying he ain't playing, all pros or guys that are coming down the pike going into the NFL. So now he comes into the NFL, and the only thing he's done well is blocking. He had a holding call. The best tight end out there on Thursday night was Austin Allen. Like, how do you have an undrafted rookie tight end make all the plays? He even looked good blocking.
He did have some nice blocks out there. I beat it was 3rd or 4th teams, but he still did. He still looked good in his play.
But Jeff, the assignment was executed, and it executed well, right? It's when the thing that I get concerned with, and people don't realize, is you're executing against backups. Okay, but sometimes you got to beat that man, because guess what? That backup's trying to beat you. What do you think he's trying to do? He's trying to make the fucking team too. So he's not going to, if that guy's a 2nd round, I mean, Malcolm Butler was on the field at one point for the Patriots, okay, and their 2nd team.
He started the game.
Yeah, he did.
And he played well into the 2nd and 3rd quarter against these bums because they had nobody, right? I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, as far as these young guys, Bellinger and all these other young guys, look, you gotta chalk some of it up to this is literally their first NFL game ever. So right. I mean, you gotta also, a little bit. I can't jump off the cliff yet and think these guys just don't have a shot at making it.
That's not what I'm meaning.
I mean, I know it's what I know. I know it's not what Alex. I'm just saying, like, I just think, absolutely, like, as long as we see development and growth throughout this preseason with these young guys, I'll be pretty satisfied with that, because these guys are literally coming into their first NFL season. This is their first NFL action. That was literally. Yeah, this is his first time playing against a game against pros other than his own teammates in practice. So,
right,
I want to hope that these guys can develop and continue to develop and grow, because I think Bellinger does potentially have a future on this team, on this roster.
Oh, no, I'm not. This is not me saying, hey, get the guy out of here. All I'm saying is, like, we got to temper some expectations, because there's a lot of growing that needs to be done, because this team has a lot of players. Like, everyone's complaining about Kayvon Thibodeau. You know that there was no Leonard Williams on the field, and there was no Azeez Ojulari, right? And maybe he just had to do his assignment. We don't know if Dable and the coaches were like, just, play the edge, make sure you go out there. If you get close, make a tackle, right? Because he needs to get his feet wet too. And I'm not saying I'm not saying don't play him, because a lot of people get caught up because of the injury thing. I'm like, injury could happen anytime, any place, anywhere. The guy could step out the shower like Sterling Shepard, stub his toe. Next thing you know, he pulls the Achilles, he's out for the year. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, slip on a banana peel in the fucking kitchen for all I care, because some idiot dropped a banana. I don't know. Freak accidents happen, but to me, if they're going to go in there, let them execute. And if you're quote unquote vanilla, then you need to be perfect at vanilla. Vanilla should be perfect. It should be smooth. There should be not any clunks. We shouldn't have any questions about anything. It should be like, wow, look what Daniel Jones did against these 2nd teamers. Bing, bang, boom, touchdown.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I definitely do agree with that. You got, like you say, playing against 2nd teamers, you got to go out there and execute better than we did. I definitely 100%.
Because think about it. If you can't execute against 2nd teamers, how am I supposed to trust you against 1st teamers? Like, Tennessee's got a great defense. People don't understand. They got a great defense. I know it's Tennessee Titans, and we laugh at them because of what happened to them in the playoffs and how they went out so miserably the last couple of years. But they are a good team for a reason. They may not make the playoffs this year. They may only make 9 or 10 games. But don't be that game on the schedule that they, Don't be that game. Don't be that game where you give them motivation because you're just, we're going to be the Titans. I'm not worried about it. We're cool. We're the New York Giants. Like, don't walk in there like you got bravado.
And speaking of the Tennessee Titans, man, gotta give a shout out to Malik Willis, man. He looked impressive in his first NFL action on what was that Thursday night, man?
Yeah.
So
I liked what he did. I think he moved the football up and down the field. Showed you he can run with the legs. And this is what I'm saying for the Giants. You could have picked that guy in the third round and had no controversy. It doesn't matter, right? A third round pick is not a guarantee to make a squad or even be great. So there's no investment to it. Your first and second rounders are the team, your starters, your builders, your guys that you're really into. So now he can sit there in Tennessee, learn from Ryan Tannehill, even though Tannehill's not going to teach him a goddamn thing, right? He'll learn from the process, from being in there. You pick up things. Oh, maybe you do this, maybe you do that. Maybe Mike Vrabel will have a plan for him and say, hey, listen, down to the goal line, we're going to run Malik Willis a couple times, because he can really run the football. Lamar Jackson, I bet you Lamar Jackson, he had Joe Flacco at one point, but they were going to start him. If Lamar Jackson had a reliable backup that you could just start and have him develop as a passer, I would do it. But you don't have that because you drafted him first. You need to start him, and he's electrifying when he runs.
Yep. Absolutely.
Can I just go back one more thing on that game, the Giants game? That's only, like I said, it's the only actual whole game that I watched this weekend. But I gotta talk about the referees a little bit. I'm sorry. They're making it impossible to play defense in this league anymore, man. Mm-hmm. It's not just totally them. It's the rules in which the powers that be want to instill. But that taunting flag on Aaron Robinson, come on, man. What the fuck was
ridiculous. That was
ridiculous. What was that?
You know how to stand up?
His arms up. He just lifted his arms up because he made a great play after getting burned a couple of times, and he finally came around and made a good big play for his team. Throws his arms up, and you give the fucking Patriots a fresh set of downs.
Well, how about a fucking missed face mask on the quarterback and get his neck ripped off as he's running by somebody? I'm like, Tyrod's sitting there. He's like, what the effing hell are you doing? And thankfully they made up for it with a defensive illegal contact. Oh great, that's what they should do to Matt Lauer, illegal contact. That should be his penalty. But my point is, where are you? What are you doing? The safety? What about that safety? The guy wasn't even out the box. He wasn't even outside the box.
God. Yeah.
And Bailey Zappi cannot throw at all in the NFL. He's terrible. I've never seen a weaker arm in my life. And that guy, they're like, oh, well, he was outside the pocket. I'm like, what?
Yeah, Bailey should zap himself to another profession because he's not going to be an NFL quarterback going forward. That was painful.
Some of these illegal contacts and stuff like that.
I don't know about that, but
they're soft, man. They're very they making it impossible to play defense.
Well, thankfully it was preseason. That safety didn't cost us, in a game, and these penalties didn't cost us. But if this were week one and we lost because they didn't call an intentional grounding and somehow, the Tennessee Titans were able to overcome whatever scenario that was, and they go down and score and win the game, and we could have won the game by 2 points or whatever, or have a different possession, then I'd be livid. But it's preseason, so I don't really give a shit right now. But it's like you gotta make the obvious ones. You got to make the obvious calls, like two obvious ones. And then our quarterback gets crushed, gets hit low by a guy. We don't get nothing. It's just like, speaking of the second quarterback, let's talk about Tyrod Taylor for a minute. I think there's mixed reviews about his game. I think I liked what he did in terms of twisting his hips, getting the ball around, setting up and throwing the football downfield. However, there were a few plays where I was like, what are you doing, Tyrod? Like the one where he rolls out, resets. I'm like, I like this. And then he throws downfield and the defender almost undercuts him. I get that he saw, I think it was 82, wave his hand, right? But if you're gonna make that throw, you gotta put put a cannon under that. You gotta zip it in there. Baseball throw that or something, because you can't have it just fluttering like he did. So while Tyrod did some good things in terms of moving the pocket and that throw to Richie James in the end zone, people don't realize that throw. I hate to say this because people are gonna say you're a Daniel Jones hater, but Daniel can't make that throw. I'm sorry. That's a throw where the guy. Do you see his arm angle? It was the arm angle. Tyrod drifted to the right and then basically sidearms it through the defender, through a hole in the offensive line, and it was a touchdown. Great route by Richie James, by the way. Great route. But I'm just saying, I don't know how you guys felt about Tyrod Taylor. I don't think he necessarily outplayed Daniel, but there were certain things where you're like, wow, he's better than Daniel at this. He's better at Daniel than this. But he's obviously not going to be a starter, so it doesn't matter. But you have to point these things out because that's what you have to do.
I thought it was solid. I mean, he made some nice throws over there. I thought he looked more comfortable in terms of the offense than maybe Daniel Jones did a little bit more. But I mean, he also made some bad throws. He also made some poor decisions throwing the ball. Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he underthrew and overthrew and got lucky on some plays as well.
Let me ask you a question.
That tip ball to Colin Johnson that luckily was caught by Richie James. That could have been an interception right there.
Yeah, well, I wonder about that. Was that a bad ball or was that Richie James? I mean, the guy is 6'5". I mean, you want the ball a little down, but it hit him in the hands, man. Come on,
I like to say something. I felt like I haven't spoke for a while. You guys covered a lot of great topics.
You have not, Zion. Wondering if you're still there, bro.
First off, I just want to start by saying I think Colin is a fluke. I think he had one good season where like he barely made it over 1,000 yards, and we all got excited for that. And I'm not gonna say I wasn't one of those Giants fans that wasn't, but I mean like the guy has every opportunity to catch the ball, and I get it. Sometimes passes get tipped. Sometimes he can't. He's not in the perimeter of the ball, but still the guy had 391 targets in his career, and he caught 220 of them. Think about that. Last year, he got 76 targets. He caught 31. The year he went over 1,000 yards, barely went over 1,000 yards, mind you. Only 1,000 yards by 100. Average in this day and age in the NFL. 116 targets. He caught 65. That being said, I know we can't account for every target. I know you can just look at the stats and judge it. But by looking at the stats, he looks like a fluke. He looks like and obviously, he looks like he doesn't care. He didn't care in Detroit. He looks like he doesn't care in New York. So that being said, I am excited for these younger receivers we have on rosters like your Kadarius Toney and like your Robinson, which brings me to the point. Tyrod Taylor wasn't throwing the ball to Kadarius Toney or Robinson.
Kadarius Toney doesn't even get on the field. That guy stubs his toe when he's out.
That's true. He's not even on the field. But that being said, to bring the point to Tyrod Taylor, I love that Adam pointed that out. Yes, he made a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the day, Daniel Jones cannot make that throw to Richie James. And that's kind of a throw that, like, when you look at it, like, I want my quarterback to be able to make that kind of throws. And I do feel like me and Adam was talking about this a long time ago. Like, I want Tyrod Taylor to be the starter of this team. I want it to be a quarterback competition. I understand why we have to figure out who the hell is Daniel Jones. Do we pay him? Do we franchise him? I understand why he has to start. I get it. But at the end of the team, I'm looking at it. At the end of the day, I'm looking at it what's best for the team. You have a proven quarterback in Tyrod Taylor that was plagued by injuries his entire NFL career. The universe wasn't kind to this kid. Every team he stepped on, when he was named the starter, he got injured. All right. And I think he is one of the better backup quarterbacks, if not the best backup quarterback in the league. Top 5 for sure.
He did. He was a starter for Buffalo for a couple of years, and he was. I don't think he. I don't know if he was injured in Buffalo, but he did go to a Pro Bowl with them.
He got hurt. He got hurt every play, everywhere he went. He got hurt, and it's just sad because the universe wasn't kind to this kid. But that being said, he's shown that he's a fighter. He's not gonna go in there and just accept the bench. Yes, he has a lot to improve on, but he was running the offense with second teamers. Right?
Would you start
him on the offense with our first teamers?
Would you would
he have a quarterback if he started? Would he have a touchdown if he started the game?
I don't know. I'm asking you this question. Do you play the best player or do you play the guy that you have to play? Like for me, like if Daniel Jones and Tyrod are clearly Tyrod's a little better than him, do I force the issue with Daniel or say, listen, Daniel, no offense to you, but this guy outplayed you in practice. Do we start him? Because I'm not going to be mad at Brian Daboll for saying, hey, we saw Daniel, Tyrod's been better. We're going to start him, right? I'm not going to be mad if he starts Daniel, but I'm just saying, like, if you think Tyrod gives you the best chance of winning, are you making that move?
I think it's a complex question because you're sitting at it as Joe Shane and as Daboll, and you're looking at it like not really Joe Shane. He just got them the players, but you're looking at your Daboll like, do I do I play? Do I play White? Do I play Taylor because he maybe can be a better fit for this team right now? But where are we going right now? Like, what is that? What is our expectations this year to figure out who the hell we have? Do we need to figure out who, if we need to pay Daniel Jones? And I think that's the argument that's taking place in house. Is maybe they do feel that Taylor could put this team in a better place going forward. Ben Column, but do we need that right now when it's a foundation year? We're not looking at making the playoffs. We just looking at who's the players we want to keep. We all know that Tyrod Taylor is a bridge quarterback, right? He's not. If we have Tyrod Taylor on this team and Daniel Jones is on this team in 2024, we're drafting a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I think it's exactly your point, right? I think it's a question that they're fighting with themselves. It's kind of like, damn, we really need to know. We really need to see what Daniel Jones can do. But in my argument with that approach is, I'm not mad at that approach. I respect that approach. I understand that approach because you guys are new in the building. But guess what? We've seen what Daniel Jones is.
But then maybe they should rephrase it like, yes, we know, but we're going to throw in the towel this year because we just want to evaluate players. Because you can't tell me you're going to go and be competitive, right? And say we're going to be a competitive team, we're rebuilding, blah, 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 we want to win games. And the quarterback that's, I'm not saying he's light years better than Daniel Jones, but he's having a better camp. He's more steady. Things are coming easier. If you as a coach are going down the check marks, right, and you're doing your evaluations as you build this roster, and you go to Dable and you go, listen, man, this guy has, he's not lit it up, but he's been more consistent than Daniel. I think we should get him the start first, or whatever the case may be, because it's beneficial to the team. Then you make the move. You don't do, I hope this and that, and then.
And think about it too. I mean, like, Tyrod Taylor, I'm not being mean. I'm not trying to disrespect Daniel Jones, but what I'm trying to say is the NFL is a cruel game. It's the NFL. Players don't get the opportunity to start 3 full seasons. Like, you know what I'm saying? And keep in mind, okay, Tyrod Taylor is never gonna cost as much as Daniel Jones will cost. Unless he goes out there, starts this season, and has like a fucking 5 touchdown season, will he ever make over $30 million? And that's just the way it is. So
well,
why not bridge with Taylor?
Look. All right, look. We heard one side of the argument, and I'm going to say I want to give another side of this argument because look, Tyrod Taylor has been outperforming Daniel Jones at practice for sure. I feel like in practice for sure he's been outperforming him, but that to me could be also he's a little more veteran than Daniel Jones. Learning new systems maybe comes easier to him. And learn it and just have so I'll play that one for Daniel Jones as far as practice. But what we saw in the game on Thursday night, I think these guys were more even than anything else. I don't think either one of them truly outperformed the other in the game on Thursday. And my thing is, and when I'm saying this to say is maybe that's still a basis to say let's make this a more of a quarterback competition for real because Because in the game, they both kind of were the same guy in a sense as far as in the game, and Tyrod has been outperforming him at practice. So I would say, if anything, maybe warrants to open it up and make it a competition. But at the same time, right now, I think Daniel Jones still has that inside edge, and it's not just because they want him to be the guy. I think it's because we just saw it in the game. Like that's what the game is for. Like practice is practice. The game is the game. At practice, Tyrod might be looking better than Daniel Jones. In the game, he didn't look any better necessarily. They were just kind of the same.
I think what I think I saw better in Tyrod was the comfortableness with the offense, the ease to which he moved around the pocket. My thing would be like this. I know you don't want an open competition, but I would still like to see Tyrod get some reps. To me, Tyrod should have started the game. If you're going to do what you did there, you should have started Tyrod with the first unit because let me see what he can do. Because this is the thing. If he's outperforming him in practice, right, with the second teamers, I can't blame him for not having, there's throws downfield that he made that it's not his fault that Jamil Douglas held in a play. Like he rolls out, literally resets his feet, fires the ball downfield 20-something yards to Colin Johnson, on a rope, but they get called back on holding. That, those are the type of things that I want to see him do. Like, clearly he was better at certain things than Daniel. That's just clear. In terms of overall, performance, they were about even. But if you were to check the boxes like we're talking about here, how is he do? I'm not saying that Tyrod's going to be a star. I'm saying if he comes out and you are a coach and you're doing your job, because that's what coaches need to do. Is coaches are evaluators. That's what you're doing every week, every time. Is this guy the best option for our team? And if the answer is no via the coaches, or that it's even, or Tyrod's slightly better at certain things, then you start the guy that's going to give you the best chance to win. You don't just say, well, I'm going to start Daniel Jones because the owner wants me to start Daniel Jones. That's how you lose jobs. And that's where I think we're at, is because I think the owner is really like, well, we got to keep Daniel, because we talked about this. Jeff and I talked about this. Guys are prideful. They don't want to be wrong about draft picks. They don't want to be wrong that Daniel Jones may not be the guy. So instead of, giving an even competition, which I think it should be, right? Everyone knows, Barkley's not losing his job. But Galladay should have his ass to the fire. If Galladay can have his ass to the fire, so can Daniel. I think when you insulate him and you say, well, we're not bringing in a guy for quarterback controversy and all that bullshit, is where we're at. This is what we're doing with the job. You need to come in there and be like, yo, Tyrod's here to take your job. Try to beat him out. Period. End of story.
Yeah, and I just look at it like exactly what Adam said. Like I like what you said too, Mac, and we agree it all should be an open quarterback competition. At the end of the day, that's how it should be, and I do agree. Like, I just believe that when I watched Tyrod Taylor go out there at the second team, he felt way more comfortable. I think he reads the field better than Daniel Jones, and I think he's a really great quarterback. Could average quarterback, could be great quarterback if he just got the opportunity to play. Like, the universe hasn't been kind to this kid, but if you go back and you really go look at what he did on this teams where he actually got the opportunity,
I'm not going to call him great.
Like, he's not great, obviously, from it, but he we only got to judge him from a small sample size, and same for Jones. Me personally, I think Daniel Jones obviously is gonna start it, because we need to see if we need to pay him or not. But I think that Tyrod Taylor gives us a better opportunity to win, just based on, he was in situations where he had bad offensive lines, but he still put up decent numbers. And if you look at the Houston last year, I mean, like, this guy was rolling until he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of like, yo, I get it. Houston has pretty good. You have Cooks. You know what I'm saying? You have pretty good targets. The one thing I worry about is, like, I don't know if maybe if it's Colin Johnson was just getting the only one getting open, but he kind of seemed to just lock in on Colin Johnson. He was just like targeting him, like he didn't take the time to read anyone else, or anyone else is open. But we kind of seen the same thing with Daniel Jones, and there's that one touchdown where, like, everyone talks about, where, like, Galladay could have caught it. It was a catchable ball. Daniel Jones could have done a better job leaning him to catch that ball, or Daniel Jones could have thrown the fucking ball to Barkley, and it would have been a fucking touchdown if it was just luck.
I hear you. I hear what all you guys are saying, but I mean,
it's like,
we know there's politics behind it. We know there's politics behind everything. No, it's okay. I think the owner saying what he said in the offseason, like Adam mentioned before, and the fact that nobody wants to prove that they were wrong, is, I think, reason why Daniel Jones is and will be the quarterback the entire season unless he gets hurt, because of the fact that they feel like we did this wrong, we did him wrong, we didn't give this guy an opportunity, blah, 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 blah. We already heard it a million times, but, they're going to try to make sure that Daniel Jones gets the absolute most fair, right or wrong, chance this year to see what he can do, because the owner put that statement out there earlier in the offseason saying that this guy we did not give this guy, and of course Saquon Barkley, the best opportunity out there to win. So I think Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones have looked pretty close in terms of how they looked on the practice field in terms of the game situations. But just for the fact that Daniel Jones was drafted here, because of what the owner said, even if Tyrod Taylor does look better, if the coaches might vouch, I still think the owner might be a little bit steadfast unless he gets convinced by Joe Shane and Brian
But see,
Dable,
that's why
God
I
forbid him.
disagree with you, Jeff. I do understand your point, but I think nobody wants this team to win as much as John Mara. And yes, John Mara came out there and made that statement, but I don't think John Mara would ever get involved with football. If the coach says we're starting
No,
Taiwan
he's
Taylor,
done it before. He's done it for years, where he's gotten involved with football.
No, he's in it. There's no way you keep Daniel Jones if the owner doesn't go. We also did him dirty, right? If he doesn't say that,
100% on that statement. But if say like how Jeff was just talking about, if Dabo goes to Shane and they both go to John Mara and be like, I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I think obviously it should be an open quarterback competition. But if they say like, yo, Taiwan Taylor's the starter, I don't think John Mara would oppose.
he probably. You don't. I don't know, man. I don't trust John Mara, right? I don't trust him, and I don't think. I think he would plead with Shane. I think he would plead with what's his face, Joe Shane and Dable to be like, he's only got 1 year. Do what you want after the year. Let's just give him the year to see what we can do, right? Because one, he loves Eli, and that's an Eli disciple. And two, he wants to make sure that he gives him the year because John Mara did the same thing the other year, right? Jarrell Jernigan didn't play, and he made like 2 plays at the end of the year, and John Mara's like, why didn't we play this guy? Blah blah blah. And people were like, yeah, why didn't we play? And it turns out that it's because Jarrell Jernigan sucks balls. Right, he wasn't good, and so
Jarrell Jernigan. That's a name you remember in Giants sport.
I'm just saying, like the next year, Jarrell Jernigan went out and was a bum, and it was because John Mara said we didn't play this guy enough. Goes out the next year and does absolutely nothing because guess what? He stunk. But they kept him around because John Mara was like, why didn't we play this guy for a year? How come he was sitting on the bench? He scored a touchdown. Blah blah blah. You know, and it's like sometimes. This isn't the first time. Trust me. There's a reason why we have Joe Shane and not like and Ryan Proles or any of those guys. I'm just saying because those guys probably came in here and said, "I'm not keeping Daniel Jones." Why do you think we got Pat Shurmur over all the coaches that were out there? Josh McDaniels probably wanted to come here, but he's like, "Yo, I'm not playing with Eli Manning." And John Mara was obviously at this point he wasn't going to cut Eli Manning because of what happened in 2017, right? So you had to inherit Eli Manning, even if he was a washed-up Eli Manning. And so now Pat Shurmur's like, yeah, I'll do it. I just want to be a head coach. I'll do whatever you want, right? There you go. And then you get Pat Shurmur. I'm just saying.
But I think it's a different scenario in the case. You know, yes, all those points you made were facts, and I'm not trying to play devil advocate just to defend myself. But what I'm trying to say is you know that's players, that's coaches coming in applying for a job interview. This is a coach and a GM coming to him after evaluating the preseason and training camp. It's totally
I get what you're saying, but you're the owner and you're the boss.
I do understand, and I'm not gonna debate you guys at all. Like he has been, and yes, you guys are white. He has been in the mix, and that's why we have been a team known to keep players longer than we needed to, get rid of a trade like on some weird shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, go ahead. Move on.
No, I was gonna say we're gonna move on to the world of baseball unless anybody want to wrap up. We got a good hour of football. I think that's awesome. We can always go back to it. Any last thoughts, Adam, or Mac or Jeff?
Nah, we can move on, man.
They heard.
Please stay healthy, Giants.
Absolutely. I've seen the chat start to go to baseball, so I think we update them in the world of baseball. So we got MLB updates, what's going on in the world of baseball. I know Jeff is an avid baseball fan, one of our hosts here. I'm going to have him lead, and then I know Mac watches a bit of baseball himself, so I'll let you guys host this one. Take it away.
Well, as much as the New York Giants, make you concerned of what you've heard so far, the New York Mets just make you smile. How could you not be a New York Mets fan right now and you don't have a big fat smile on your face? Right, Mac and Levance? How could we not be smiling really wide right now with what this team has given us? Another 2 out of 3 series win this weekend against the red-hot Philadelphia Phillies. All Chris Bassett did today was just pretty much pitch 6 or 7 shutout innings. He looks fantastic. The Mets win today 6-0. Edwin Diaz, the best closer right now in baseball. Max Scherzer looks great. And, everybody thought that Jacob deGrom, what was going on with this guy? He's only pitched a 1.70 ERA. He's been blowing away people. He pitched a shutout himself last night. The Mets have been absolutely on fire this season. Since coming out of the All-Star break, I believe they're almost 20 games over 500 since they come out of the All-Star break. They have arguably the best 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation in the major leagues. They have the best closer right now in the major leagues. You have guys up and down that lineup contributing right now in terms of hits. Francisco Lindor, man, has this guy had an bounce back season, over 80 RBIs. I think he has about 20 home runs, right, Mac? He's about close to 20 home runs.
He's in that ballpark. He's
definitely
in that ballpark.
He's been fantastic. His defense has been great. Jeff McNeil's having a nice bounce back season. Brandon Nimmo, can we please re-sign this guy after the season? He's been good. The entire rotation is good. How can you not be happy? And there's Levance right there putting down the score. They're 75 and 40. The New York Mets right now look like a team, and it's not that debatable to say that look like a team that they could be one of the front runners to win the World Series this year with how good they play. Buck Showalter has made an incredible difference to that entire organization with what he's brought to that team. Just like the veteran coaching he's brought, the managerial skills, the intensity, the professionalism, everything that Buck Showalter has done has been a million times better than what Luis Rojas. No disrespect to Luis Rojas, what he did a couple of years ago, but just you could tell the difference with this organization now going forward. And they made some very solid trades. I mean, Darren Ruff's playing very well in his spotty times. Daniel Vogelbach, everybody's like falling in love with this guy in terms of being a good left-handed bat off the bench. You know, our left-handed DH coming off, he's pretty much splitting with Darren Ruff. Tyler Naquan's look good in his spots. You know, the bullpen has not been an absolute disaster. You're getting guys like Trevor May back who have pitched pitched better since he's come back. The Mets right now give you the confidence that they are not only going to be a team that will – I think they're winning the division. I have no doubt in my mind right now they're winning this division. I think we're going into the playoffs as a team that nobody wants to mess with right now. It's not even just Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. The rest of the rotation has looked good too in terms of Chris Bassett, Carlos Cookie Carrasco, Taijuan Walker. I think the New York Mets overall have just been absolutely phenomenal in terms of the way they're playing baseball right now. And if you're a Mets fan, all you can do is right now smile because there's a reason. This team is probably the best Mets team that we've seen since 1986. And that's saying something right now for what we're seeing. So kudos to Buck Showalter. Kudos to everybody in that Mets team. Kudos to Stevie Cohen, Billy Epler, everybody in that Mets organization. You guys have had a hell of a season so far. It looks like we're going to be going towards the playoffs as divisional leaders. We could even be the number one team in the National League if we can find a way to go ahead of the Dodgers. So as Mets fans, how could we not be excited from what we've seen right now going into the future? Mac, go ahead, bro.
Brother, you said everything that needed to be said, basically, so I don't have much more to add other than the fact that, the Mets – people would question the lack thereof moves before the trade deadline, but you know what? Maybe they just made the right ones for this team, man, because honestly, the lineup is a lot more consistent now. You're getting a lot more consistency with the bats in the lineup. Starting pitching has been pretty phenomenal all year, and when you add Jake DeGrom, who once I will tell you people, who I don't care who disputes it, Jake DeGrom is the best in the business right now on that mound. And when he's come back, and in all three of his starts, it has just been absolutely rock solid, as if he never even missed a beat. Jacob deGrom is the absolute man. He is the ultimate X factor on this team. I wish you could just give him a bat because he can hit too, damn it. He's one of those pitchers that can get up there and hit with the best of them too, but DH rule in the National League now, but that's neither here nor there. But this Mets team has just been absolutely phenomenal. They've been fun to watch. They had an ultimate showdown series with the Atlanta Braves last week when that was sniffing on their heels. And they just went out there in a 5-game series and took 4 of those things from the Braves and separated themselves from that pack and increasing their lead in the National League East. So it's looking really, really promising for this Mets team. And as long as they can stay healthy and stay the course, man, I can see the Mets going deep into the postseason, and I can see the Mets playing in October, man. Now, I don't know if Adam got any thoughts on the other New York team that seems to be going the other way right now, one for one reason or another.
Well, see, that's the thing is this is what we talked about, right? The Yankees were well. First off, congratulations to the Mets because you've done something that the Mets haven't done the last 5 years. You've gotten through July and most of August weathering the storm, right? Usually the Mets come to this point and kind of the wheels fall off the bus. So kudos to them. I give props where props is due. The Yankees, on the other hand, were struggling. And the reason is because they're built like I said early on with the home run ball. And when you don't know how to manufacture runs and get hit for average, this is what happens. Every game can't be a blowout. Every game can't be a bomb fest, And I think right now you're seeing a little struggles. I think they'll right the ship. I really do. I mean, if they don't, I don't know what to do with Aaron Boone because this would be another collapse in his tenure, right? Because they always come out and start strong, and then something happens down the stretch with Aaron Boone where he makes a critical decision or puts in the wrong guy or takes some guy out. And next thing you know, the Yankees are sitting at home in the winter, right? So I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous because this is what happens with the Yankees. They get on the streak, then the ugliness shows its head, and then teams get hot. And the next thing you know, their struggles go right into September, right into October, and then they go home because, they're just not playing their best baseball when they need to.
I think 3 injuries that have killed the Yankees so far this year, and it really has hurt this team a lot, has been the Luis Severino injury because he was pitching really well, and he was that second stalwart that starting in the starting rotation behind. I mean, Cortez was looking lights out at the beginning of the season. I think he's still been pretty solid, but he's been, so lately. Cole, I mean, this guy, you paid $300 for this guy. He's definitely not a $300 worth pitcher. I think that injury has killed them. I think the Michael King injury was a disaster.
I think you need $300 million.
Yeah, $300 million. I'm sorry, $300 million. I got a little carried away there.
I get paid more than $300.
$300.
He's pitching like you know what? He's pitching like a $300 pitcher right now. I mean, the guy's struggling. He's pitching like a guy that should be making $300 right now on his salary rather than $300 million. But I think the Michael King injury, people don't understand how much that injury has killed that bullpen. He was the one guy that the Yankees could consistently go in there and be like, you know what? Michael King is going to go into that. When you give the ball to Michael King in that bullpen, he's going to shut you down. That injury has killed that team because Clay Holmes has come back down to earth. He's not been that great. He's been up and down for the Yankees in the bullpen. We already know what Chapman's like. He's just like a roller coaster ride. You don't know if you're going to be going down the big slope or if you're going to be going up the hill.
But that's the problem with Chapman though. It's like, but when he's on, right? But when he's off, it's like, when Mo came out, good night the lights, right? When this guy comes out, I can't even sit there and be like, yeah, we're going to win this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear
you.
I
honestly feel about Chapman though. I feel like, in my opinion, I know it might be a bit drastic, a bit much, but I look at Chapman almost like he's like that sideshow people come to see. They just want to see him throw that heat. You know what I mean? It's just like that's just he's got to just get more to his repertoire, man. I believe.
He does got to become more of a complete pitcher overall.
I agree with you. I think. But like I said, that's just the Yankees for you. This is a guy who's been on the team for how many years? There are nights where he's on and he looks like the best guy in baseball, and there are times like this where he struggles. And I'm just tired of it. This is why I'm saying. This is why Yankee fans were puffing their chest out. We're going to the World Series, and I said this is what's going to happen. Jeff, you said it too as we were going through premium takes. One injury away from this team not being as good as it seems, and here we are.
Carlos Stanton injury has hurt this team too because he was.
Man, that guy was stinking. Oh God.
He was off to a very strong start for this team at the beginning of the season. He was one of those guys, along with Judge and Rizzo, who was powering that team to the start that they were going, and then he got hurt. And
he always gets hurt. Always something with this guy, yo. Always something. Always something with this guy. Every year, it's something. It's something else.
Judge stayed healthy, and that's the problem. Is that right now the Yankees are hoping that.
Years ago.
Right now, the Yankees are just relying on Aaron.
And he came off the juice. Get on the juice, Juan. Get on the juice. Get back on it.
Aaron Judge has pretty much been like the guy that they're hoping could just power them through everything. Like, we're just hoping Aaron Judge can make 2 or 3. He could get those 2 or 3 balls he can run into for home runs.
But that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. You can't rely on that yes, Aaron Judge is a good player. He's going to make his plays. But if you keep relying on that and going to the well too often, especially in a 165 game season or 62, whatever they play, right? It just, to me, is not a reliable way to win games. Figure out a way to manufacture runs. Like, I hate to use a football analogy, but the Titans figured out a way to win games without Derrick Henry, right? They figured out a way to do things where they didn't need to rely on him every game to make plays. And I'm not saying you don't want your stars to make plays. What I'm saying is, if he has an off night, God forbid, right? God forbid he comes down to earth one night because, he's tired or, things happen. He's human. Even the great Derek Jeter had some off nights here and there. But that's not a way to play baseball. That's not a way to play any sport.
Well, I don't want to switch gears a little bit, but how do you guys feel about out in San Diego, Mr. Tatis, man, his suspension now with this because he took something for his ringworm or something and it had a banned substance in it. How do you guys feel about these situations where these guys are getting jammed up when they're not even necessarily taking like a performance enhancer for say, you know what I mean? He was trying to cure a situation he had, and it happened to have some form of a banned substance in it. Now he's suspended for, I'm not even sure how much the length of the suspension.
I believe it's 80 games that he's going to be suspended for.
And how is that going to affect the Padres going down the stretch now? Because I know they made a lot of moves to the trade deadline, but Tatis is a huge part of that lineup.
I think it's going to affect them a lot. I mean, that's one of the guys that's going to be a center part of that lineup going forward, because you figure you could throw him in there with a guy like Josh Bell, as well as Juan Soto. I mean, and even some of the other guys they have in there. I mean, it's going to hurt their lineup. I just think that, maybe the MLB needs to work a little bit more on their drug testing and figure out, what type of things should be more regulated and which ones aren't, because it's going to have like these little issues going forward. I mean, what exactly was the banned substance that Tatis took? And I mean, if it's like something to help out for like a potential disease like a ringworm, I mean, are you really going to get on the guy for something like that? As long as it's not something that he was intentionally taking. As long as it's something it's like he was intentionally taking, he did it. If he I'm trying to think of the words. If he did it because he actually didn't know it was a banned substance, now we're going to say like, well, he should not be that naive. He should know what.
Well, that same thing with Golden Tate. Golden Tate took Viagra, and he got in trouble. There's a fertility drug. So I'm not saying he needs to be cognizant of what he did. I think baseball needs to hear out why he's taking it, because some guys take steroids, I hate to say it, to recover from all the injuries that they've had. Are they using it to cheat? I don't know. That's what steroids does, is like if you have bad injuries, steroids can help you evolve. But if he's taking it because, it's a prescription or it's going to help him, or it's prescribed to him, or it's something like some over-the-counter drug that you take, it shouldn't be that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No,
like if he's using it to cheat, right, and you caught him like with the needle in his ass, okay, you're like, all right, you need to get out of here. You know what I mean? But if he's out there and he's got a headache and he has migraines and he takes a migraine medicine that we see on TV, the ones that say don't take this pill if you are allergic to this pill. Well, maybe he's subscribed to that one of those migraine medicines, and it happens to have a substance he doesn't know about, but he's taking it for migraines. Is that cheating? Like, you gotta draw the line. You gotta figure it out. You can't just ban everybody. It's like the weed thing, right? Some people are allowed to smoke weed in their state. Are you gonna ban them because you're the NFL and you want to make a point? Come on.
Rob Manfred has a lot to work to do in the Major League Baseball. I mean, they got their own issues over there. I mean, especially after the lockout mess that was going on earlier this year. Rob Manfred he's got to get that whole thing straightened out as well, in terms of the drug policies and what should be literally banned substances that you should know about and you should not take, and what should not.
The point is, because the thing is, it's like Adam just said. It's one thing if he was taking this shit literally to cheat the game. He was taking something to cure his ringworm, and it happened to have a banned substance in it. that he probably like he has no idea was even in the shit. That probably
Okay.
some doctor gave him and said, "Yeah, take
Let me
this will kill your ringworm."
let
You
me
know
break
what
it
I
down
mean?
like this. Let me break it down like this. You have breakfast, right? You have breakfast, right? You decide to go get a poppy seed bagel for breakfast because you happen to like poppy seed as a kid. Your mom gave you a poppy seed bagel. Boom. You get popped for heroin because poppy seeds happen to be,
Exactly.
a part of the ingredients in heroin. So now you're going to ban this guy because he wanted to get a poppy seed bagel. I'm just saying you've got to make it to the point where there should be a little naiveness to these guys. Banned substance. Okay, but then what happens is if they do that, it opens the other can of worms where somebody gets caught taking it. And they go, well, I have glaucoma, so that's why I was smoking pot in the fucking middle of the locker room, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm sorry, it's okay. I guess he's trying to see the baseball. You know what I mean? Just there's got to be certain suspend. Like, if you want to suspend everybody, fine. We'll give you 5 games, 6 games, whatever it is on this little ban. Boom, keep it moving. Don't give him a whole season because he's trying to treat ringworm, and you're like, oh, I got to be baseball. I got to be tough. It's like with Roger Goodell sometimes. Like some of these fines, like they want to fine Watson more. I'm like, 6 games isn't enough. A year of missed football isn't enough. You have to now ban him another year.
Yeah, they definitely need to get a grip on these like PED things. Cause like to me, that's probably, like I said, literally something a doctor probably gave him and said, here, this is gonna kill your ringworm. This is the best thing for it. and he's gonna take the doctor's advice, use the product. He's not gonna look at and say, let me see every ingredient that's in this medicine the doctor prescribed to me.
I'm gonna check and see if there's a banned substance in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
wait,
who
I
does
can't
that?
take it now, Doc.
Nobody thinks in those realms, and I don't want to hear, oh, they're professional athletes. They know they should have to. I don't want to hear that, man. They're human. They're human beings. They go to a doctor and get treated for something, and doctor gives them a prescription or something like that, and they fucking do what the doctor says to do, like all other humans do. Like, give me a break.
Exactly,
He's not cheating
Matt.
the game. He's one of the best young talents in this game, and now we're done. Now he's done for the remainder of the season because of what? Because he treated his ringworm.
The only reason it's happening is because if they're lenient, right? To me, let's say little old me, I got ringworm. I'm in Major League Baseball. Boop doop doop. Got ringworm, which is disgusting anyways. But you get ringworm, and your trainer says, "Well, we can't help you because you got to go to the doctor and get that treated by your own." Whomever, ophthalmology, whatever the fuck it is, right? You're like, okay, cool. You go there, you go to the doctor that you see, and then he or she prescribes you whatever it is that you're prescribed. You're like, all right, thanks, doc. I'll go pick up this prescription now at CVS. It's going to take 20 hours to fill because they don't have your friggin' thing, right? So now you finally get your itch in your body because you got ringworm, right? You can't take anything else because nothing else works, right? So finally they call you. Hi, this is CVS. Your prescription's ready to go. You go and buy it and take it because your trainer doesn't know what to do, right? He told you to go see the doctor. You go see the doctor. The doctor says, "Yeah, I've seen this a million times." Boom, gives you an item. He doesn't. You're not checking the ingredients. You don't know if there's high fructose corn syrup in this. You're not turning over the label. You're just saying, "Hey, doc said it's good. I'm gonna put it in my mouth and take it." Boom, it should clear up in 3 days. Roldos, all right, great job. All right, I'll see you in a couple days. It flares back up. Okay, boom. Next thing you know, here you are. You're cured. Hey, doc, thank you. You go take a piss test in baseball, and they're like, you're banned. Why are you banned? Because you have ringworm, you dirty motherfucker, so we're banning you for taking a substance that was prescribed to you by a doctor. That's
baffling.
That's what I mean.
That was an interesting way of describing it, but yeah, I got the point.
I love it. As we transition,
it was the best way to describe it.
Any last topics on MLB, guys?
No, that's all I got on baseball.
Alrighty.
Let's go,
I'm
Mets,
ready.
baby.
Let's go,
As
Mets.
we transition to a sport that people get popped with substance all the times. Let's get a little bit of UFC updates before we move into the world of the WWE. So a couple Fridays ago, we had Jamal Hill knock out Thiago Santos in the 4th round of UFC Vegas. I believe it was 57. Great performance from him, moved into the top 10 of that division. We also had Neil Magny on that same card. I believe Magny had defeated Valente Luque. great knockout by Neil Magny, round 3, 201. Just this last Saturday, just last night, we had Marlon Vera KO Dominic Cruz, which a lot of people thought that Dominic Cruz was winning that fight. And then obviously the power of Vera came in and knocked him out. And also, we are getting ready to cover UFC. I believe it's 278 coming up next. It's this Saturday. We got Kamaru Usman going against Leon Edwards, a fight that's been in the makings for a really long time. I believe Leon Edwards is on a 12-fight win streak. Finally gets a shot at the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, as the welterweight champion Kamaru Usman defends his championship spot. We also have Pablo Casco and Luke Walkwell, 2 veterans, holding it down as the co-main event. We have Jose versus Marab, up-and-comer, taking on one of the best featherweights to ever enter the cage, but now moving up to bantamweight to taking on Marab and Jose Aldo. And we have a couple of fights, but is there anything major on UFC 78, Mac, being that you're the other main host that usually watches the UFC? Before we get into the WWE, who are you going for with the Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards? Do you want to give your thoughts on that fight?
Well, I mean, it should be a dandy. Hope we get a good one there, man. But until someone gets in the octagon and beats Usman, I just don't believe it can happen right now. Not where Usman is in his career right now. I mean, I just can't see it happening. The win streak is impressive and everything, but Usman is a different animal completely. And he's like right now, it reminds me of when Anderson Silva was at the top of his game, where you just didn't think it could happen until you saw it finally happen, that's the way I am right now with Usman, man. Until I can see somebody actually get in the octagon and beat this man, I just don't believe it's going to happen, man, until I actually get a chance to witness it with my own 2 eyes. And I just don't think it's happening this weekend either, man. I just don't see it. I believe Usman's going to take this fight. I just hope we get a good one.
Absolutely. I hope we get a good one too. I think Edwards is a capable opponent. If anybody is to beat Usman, it'll probably be Edwards. This is probably going to be his toughest opponent to date. Like we said, Edwards is on a 12-fight win streak, but like Max said, Usman is just an animal that is looking like a GSP, like an Anderson Silva, like a John Jones in its prime. He used Anderson Silva. I added in John Jones and GSP. But all of those 3 fighters we just mentioned, they streaked with their prime. And Usman has shown the only person to knock out Jorge Masvidal, the person that people started hating on him when he first became the champion because he was fighting through decision. And then he just went out there and started messing people up and knocking people out. One thing I wanted to point out that I missed, on the same fight card as Thiago Santos and Jeremiah Hill, we had the 2 Ultimate Fighter finalists. We had Usman's older brother, Muhammad Usman, defeating Zach Poginga, giving him his first loss in the sport of MMA. Heavyweight Muhammad Usman, keep eye out for him. Another Usman family. We have 2 brothers in the MMA. That's pretty crazy how that works out there. And then we have the women's flyweight champion, Ultimate Fighter winner Juliana Miller, taking on Brogan Walker, defeating her in the KO round 3 at 3:57. And of course, I forgot to mention Muhammad Usman defeating Zach at round 2, 36 seconds of a KO in 36 seconds. That being said, we'll keep you guys updated. We'll probably give you guys the results on next show on Premium Take as we enter into the world of the WWE. I want to pass it over to Adam and Jeff, and of course Mac. He's an avid watcher of it too. What's the latest news, drama, matchup, storylines in the world of AEW, in the world of WWE, in the universe of wrestling?
I mean, I can't believe I'm actually.
Go, Jeff, real quick, Jeff. Just one thing, real quick. I'm just glad to see it looks like WWE is headed back in the right direction again, because it has been a mess for quite some time now, and just some of the things that's taken place over the last couple of weeks. Raw has been watchable, SmackDown's been watchable again. So just go ahead, Jeff, take it away. I just had to get that out, man.
No, that's actually what I was about to say. I can't believe it. As wrestling fans of the WWE, we could actually sit down and enjoy a pretty good show. It's amazing what the difference is when you take Vince McMahon, who is clearly out of touch with what the WWE fans want nowadays in terms of their wrestling, and you put in a guy like Triple H who knows wrestling with the back of his hand. He's been a wrestler for almost 30 years. He knows what the fans want, and you can tell by just what the product is showing. Case in point, the Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. Championship have never felt more important in the last 10, 15 years than what Triple H has done with these titles, and he's made them both feel prestigious. He's made them feel important by the video packages he's given them, by the constant matches he's having on Raw and SmackDown. Those two belts have felt the most important they have been in years, and I thank Triple H for that. The women's division is actually getting an opportunity to actually show what they can do in the ring, and they're not having 2 or 3 minute wrestling matches with no actual good wrestling in it. You're actually seeing these women go out there and show what they can do in the ring, show what they can do out there in terms of telling a story, and it's awesome to be able to see that. We have storylines that are actually coming together that somewhat make sense. We have promos that actually come off more organic and not generic when they come off in the mic, because Triple H isn't ripping up the damn scripts every 2 seconds, and he's letting these people go out there, give some of their creative input on what they might think helps their characters, as well as in terms of going out there and sounding more natural in terms of them and the fuse. And I'm going to say this too, one of the best things that we've seen so far is the element of surprise, and some of these people that were released that had no business being released before coming back into the WWE now, trickling back into the company, like Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. Nobody expected them to come back last Friday. They surprised us. Thank God they're back in here, because that's a main event guy that you just threw into there that could probably be a world champion right now as long as you continue to build him up. And I definitely believe Triple H will. Dexter Lumis. Everybody, if you watched NXT in the beginning with Dexter Lumis, this guy is in the perfect element that he should be in. I thought that angle they cut last Monday Night Raw with him being pulled away, you thought this was like a real thing actually happening. It was an angle that they were shooting. Nobody thought that. It was a brilliant way to put it off and reintroduce Dexter Lumis back into the program. You put Dakota Kai, and returning Dakota Kai was really good in NXT. You throw her there with Bayley and Io Shirai. You have yourselves a faction that you could build around for the women's division going forward. You have Bayley that can become the women's champion on Raw, and you have Io Shirai or Io Sky and Dakota Kai become the new women's tag team champions. And then you just had Hit Row come back, who maybe they're not the greatest when it comes to in-ring, but these people are incredibly marketable. There's people that you could put out there right now. You could put them out there, and they could be marketable in terms of like what you want to show. I think it's going to hurt a little bit not having Swerve there. I do say that. I think Swerve was the guy that's the most marketable in that group. But I still think, I believe that Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, as well as B-Fab, they could still be marketable to the audience out there that, follows them in terms of like the hip-hop community, as well as like, Francis being a former NFL player. So you have that market that might not have been watching wrestling before. They're going to come in and watch these people. But Triple H giving these wrestlers that didn't have the right opportunity before, and we're going to see more. You're going to see more former wrestlers that were in the WWE, former WWE wrestlers. They're going to be coming back. So just don't be surprised if anybody else shows up. And that's the one thing that I love right now, is that Triple H is giving us back some of those elements of surprise, good storylines, prestige when it comes to the women's division and the Intercontinental and United States Championship, as well as in-ring wrestling that we can actually get behind and follow and be excited about going forward. Adam, take it away.
I think you're right. You said it, nail on the head. Triple H has got a new direction, and I think it's going to be the Ruthless Aggression era, that kind of era. What I mean by that is less bra and panties matches, but more, actual storylines, building up mid-card characters, guys that don't always need a belt. Sometimes you can tell a story without having to have a championship behind it, right? And sometimes that's what you get to be missed. I also like the fact that he's bringing back old guys. I'm hoping he brings back Bray Wyatt. That's who I'm hoping comes back, who deserved a title shot and a better run as the Fiend. But, Vince McMahon had to give it to Goldberg because, God forbid, they go to Saudi Arabia with the Fiend as champion. You lose everybody. But my point is that I like where it's going. I think what this is also going to do, it's going to allow for more creativity. What I mean by that is that, he's going to see things through. If it doesn't work the next week, that's not going to happen. If it works, he's going to keep it going. For me, I have a feeling now, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm starting to get more confidence that Roman Reigns is losing the title sooner rather than later. Because if we believe in what Triple H's vision is, he's not going to just ride the coattails of these guys. He's going to say, I'm going to make the product compelling, and you're going to come on to watch the show because you don't know what's going to happen, right? As opposed to, there's Roman Reigns, acknowledge me. And mind you, I'm going to say something good for Drew McIntyre calling out the Usos. Finally saying, you guys don't do anything but come out and help Roman Reigns. How can I respect the champion who has goons every time he comes out? And that's what I've been preaching about Roman Reigns. Like, you want to show me that, I know it's fake wrestling or whatever, but you want to be a great villain? Be a guy that creates havoc by himself. Don't always use your goons. Like, you're not the NWO. You're the Bloodline. You got two guys who've never won a singles title in their life. You know what I mean? Not the Intercontinental title, nothing. So you have these two guys who can't break away because you can't make them main event stars because they're not main event guys. No one believes in Jimmy and Jay as main eventers. That's why they're stuck as tag team champions. You could take Kevin Nash and make him, the WWE champion. You could take Razor Ramon and make him what? The one of the best Intercontinental champions of all time. Then you put him together with Hulk Hogan, and you got the greatest faction of all time. But Hulk Hogan was a 6-time world champion and something like that. My point is, let's break up this bloodline. Let's get some new blood going, Karrion Kross, Drew McIntyre, because what are you going to do when Cody Rhodes comes back, who, by the way, someone said something funny I was reading. What does this mean for Cody Rhodes? Because he didn't really like Triple H. So now his boss is gone that brought him back, Vince McMahon. His new boss is Triple H. What does that mean for Cody Rhodes? But, we'll find out.
And I was going to say, too, one of the other things that I really like what WWE is doing right now in Triple H, he's repackaging some wrestlers that were in just ridiculous gimmicks and pretty much had their names changed. They're getting their names back, and they're actually getting opportunities on television to show what they can do. Obviously, Tommaso Ciampa, he actually had a nice U.S. championship match against Bobby Lashley. It was a great match. I mean, they had a phenomenal match. Shayna Baszler, oh my God, it's a miracle that this woman's actually getting pushed again. How good she is. She has a women's title match at Clash of the Castle, and I think she should win it. They're repackaging people like Dominik Dijakovic. Mustafa Ali was back on television. Some of these people might get their names back. I mean, Doudrop might finally be gone. That's what I like to see. Like, people that have been mistreated, that actually have talent and something to offer the company, they're actually getting an opportunity now to show what they can do to the audience. And that's all we wanted as wrestling fans. Go ahead, Mac.
Well, yeah, you just took the point I was getting ready to make.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I apologize.
Triple H is very methodically righting a lot of Vince McMahon's wrongs. And that's what we needed, man. It's been long overdue. This should not be Shayna Baszler. Not only should this not be her biggest opportunity at winning the women's title, it should have already happened anyway. Like I said, you're talking about Shayna Baszler came up to the main roster. On her resume she was one of the most absolute dominant women champions in NXT history, still to this day. Mm-hmm. Yet she's getting her first real opportunity at one of these women titles on the SmackDown women's title it is on the main roster after these last few years of being on the main roster now and just squandering into oblivion because Vince McMahon, I guess, didn't look at her as one of the pretty girls or whatever, however his mind works. However his mind works, this woman has been shafted the entire time she's been on the main roster. You had her in this hokey-ass tag team with Nia Jax for all that time. Yeah, sure, they were the tag team champions, whatever. That was a joke. She's not a tag team wrestler, for one thing. So the fact that she went from being one of the most dominant females in NXT ever, history, like I said, still to this day, to coming up on the main roster and just now getting a real opportunity. And like you just said, Jeff, she should win that title. I love Liv Morgan, but Shayna Baszler should be taking that title from her at Clash at the Castle. But like you said, so it's a lot to clean
Well,
up.
maybe the buildup will be better this time because that's the problem. Shayna Baszler came in as a killer. Even Ronda Rousey said it, and Ronda doesn't say many good things. But when she was leaving on SmackDown, she goes, "You were a killer," and that's what I think needs to happen with Shayna Baszler. You need to get her back to being mean. You need to get her.
The Queen of Spades has got to return. The Queen
Right.
of Spades that was dominant in NXT. That's what you need.
Well, Vince McMahon took that away.
Shayna Baszler
Vince
back.
McMahon took that away. Not Shayna Baszler. She has to do what her boss says to do. He took that away from. He took all of that away and basically just made her become a forgotten person. She was less than a mid-carder. She was barely even on TV.
Listen, the only way she becomes relevant is if she wins this title, because the thing is, and what I mean by that is that we believed in her coming in as the Queen of Spades, right? We need her to win the title to fill that Queen of Spades role. Otherwise, it's going to be another attempt at Shayna Baszler trying to come up and failing again, and people are going to rest on her laurels. She needs to come in and do some big stuff.
She's already done big things. That's my thing. Like, that's my problem. Vince McMahon has ruined her himself. She's done big things. Bianca Belair, who is on this dominant run as the Raw Women's Champion, has been on this amazing run on the main roster. There was a time she couldn't hold Shayna Baszler's fucking job.
That's true.
They had a match in NXT a few years ago on the NXT pay-per-view a few years ago. Shayna Baszler had to carry that entire match because Bianca Belair wasn't even ready for that stage.
I agree.
That's the shit I'm talking about. But yet, up here on this main roster, Bianca Belair's been on this amazing run all this time, and Shayna Baszler's like who is she? It's like, who's Shayna Baszler? You're not even giving the fans an opportunity to see what they want to see is Shayna Baszler in that ring kicking these chicks' asses, because that's what she should be doing. Now Triple H is making that huge mistake by Vince McMahon. Right. I was so glad to see Shayna Baszler win that gauntlet match, because I honestly thought they were just going to give it to Raquel Rodriguez, to be quite honest.
I did too.
I thought they were just going to give it to her. So I was so happy to see Shayna Baszler
give it to Natalya
and win that match. Because
I thought they were going to give it to Natalya.
It's been long overdue for her anyway. Long overdue. She's overcome so many obstacles on this main roster. I'm honestly surprised she's still even in WWE. I would have thought she would have messed around and just asked for an outright release or something, because of the way they were using her. It's a joke. So she's been probably one of the most, it's been the worst, been one of the worst treated. As I can say, you brought Hit Row back, but the end of the day is you couldn't get Swerve Strickland back because he's already signed with AEW. So you bring the other three back. I like the little guy, Adonis, whatever his name is. I like him a little bit.
He's
Ashanti Adonis. Yeah, he's pretty good. The big guy still needs a little bit of work. And the girl, she needs a whole lot of work.
Yeah, she can't work in the ring. She's not good.
She's totally green. She's not ready for in-ring on the main roster at all. I've seen her in one match on NXT against Electra Lopez that time, and it was bad. I'm surprised neither one of those girls came out of that match hurt, to be honest, injured for real, to be honest. But so it's just Triple H has got a lot to do. But I love how he's handling things. As soon as he took over, there was already rumors swirling about Karrion Kross and Scarlett possibly being open to make a return. And I'm glad that happened very quickly, because Karrion Kross also, Vince came up to the main roster. You take his girl away from him. She never appeared on Raw with Karrion Kross after she came up.
You had the guy lose to Jeff Hardy in his first match with 20 seconds.
But then you put him in this weird gladiator-looking gear coming down to the ring. Like, what the fuck was that? It was just all bad. So Triple H has had a lot of Vince McMahon's mess to clean up, and he's definitely cleaning it up, and he's doing a great job of doing it so far. I have never enjoyed Raw and SmackDown in recent history as much as I have the last couple of weeks. It's just been one big surprise after the next, and it's been a lot of good things going on. It's been a lot of good matches. You guys touched on this earlier. The Ciampa and Bobby Lashley match on Monday night, the Gunther and Shinsuke match on Friday night. Come on, man. That's what this shit needs on the main roster.
Right.
You need matches like that. Gunther and Shinsuke, man, tore the house down on Friday night, man. That was just the fans got what they paid for with that match, man. And I can see that turning into a budding rivalry going into the Survivor Series or whatever, man, because Gunther's obviously going to probably have that title for a little while, but I can see him and Shinsuke having some nice wars, man, along the way. They need to keep that going for a little bit, man. I would really enjoy seeing that rivalry develop.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I'm actually happy that the women actually have a tag team gauntlet type of tournament. They're not just giving it to the next teams up. They're making these women work for it. And hopefully, the creativity will be allowed to show because with what I'm seeing with Triple H, it totally reminds me of the Ruthless Aggression era. Let's just hope Triple H doesn't fall back on what happened to him, not his fault. What happened to him back in the mid 2000s where he was a champion every time. And it's like with Roman Reigns, it's like, when is this guy ever going to lose? So I like that he's doing a lot of things. I think you guys said it best. WWE for the first time in about probably 5-6 years has been unpredictable, has been edgier. No pun intended with edge coming back. It's just been a little bit more of what we want in terms of wrestling, and the wrestlers now want to be shown. I mean, look at Madcap Moss. I mean, he's coming out and helping Drew McIntyre. I'm like, finally, the guy's getting burned. I mean, he's built like a Vince McMahon would love, but then he would get squashed because he's Madcap Moss, and he'd be doing these little jokes, and the guy can actually go a little bit. He can actually wrestle a little bit. And the only way you can get these guys better, because the guy that I feel like didn't get enough run in his time was Zack Ryder, right? Zack Ryder back in the day was an absolute animal out there in the ring. He could do so many things. He had the charisma, he had the build, he had everything you wanted to do it. And you tried to make him this stereotypical New Yorker, woo, 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 you know it. You know what I mean? But even that is memorable, right? Even that is
he had a
fun.
YouTube show from that too that actually was really successful.
Right. So the guy that you like, those type of guys that you just don't want to feature because you don't think they're going to make money is now what Triple H is going to say. All right, because he, like I said, he's touched many generations of wrestling fans. He's been there in the early 90s coming up, right? He was there in the mid 90s when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, like the diplomat. And then he became, one of the founding fathers of DX, right? And then he has spanned as the King of Kings up until, I don't know, 2018 when him and, bald-headed Shawn Michaels fought the Brothers of Destruction in Saudi Arabia. He's been around the locker room, and so for me, you can even tell the product. Even at SummerSlam, when he took over, the show was totally different. The show was totally different. You're like, yo, we're going back. When you're dropping scaffolding and tables and chairs and staircases on Brock Lesnar to beat him. Come on,
picking up rings with a backhoe.
Right, that's like Stone Cold with the friggin' Zamboni.
Yeah, and I mean, even to go further than that, I mean, this past Monday night with that whole storyline with like you guys saw the storyline with like that car that was crashed in the background. They didn't mention it. They didn't talk about it. They wanted you. They're dropping little hints there of you to pay attention on what's going behind there. They never said it, never acknowledged it. Then those cops that were running past. The girls that were backstage, I believe it was Dakota Kai and Io Sky. They had those cops running in, and then they had the shot at the end of the AJ Styles and Miz match where they had that guy getting arrested and you had no idea who it is. They didn't cut into the person, but then you heard the crowd cheering and they put it off like an angle is happening, but that you didn't know because it was like those little elements that were surprising you. That's the little things that the WWE missed is like those elements of surprise, like what the hell is going on? Like, is this real or is this fake? That's the things that WWE was missing, and that's what Triple H is slowly but surely bringing back to the WWE is those elements of surprise, the elements of prestige, and people that were wronged are starting to get written right again. And that's
can't
what
wait.
WWE's
And
missed.
that's
I can't
I
wait
can't
for
wait for
Monday Night Raw.
I can't wait for the second half of the year of WWE, just because you think Survivor Series and the last few pay-per-views and things have been good. Imagine now him starting to get a vision. People are starting to negotiate contracts coming back. So many, like if the Fiend comes back, I'm gonna blow a gasket. I'm just
I
gonna
think he
blow a
is coming
gasket.
back. I think he's coming back, Adam. I don't know if he's gonna be the Fiend or the Eater of Worlds, but he's definitely. I believe he's coming back. I think
I don't care
everybody's on the
either.
table now. Everybody's on the table to come back at this point.
I mean,
was
I
gonna
didn't
say real
even bring.
fast,
So go ahead.
I do like how excited you guys are getting about this because over the past recent years, the past decade, basically, after that whole like John Cena era, even that was kind of lame. Even though I became a fan of the WWE in between that era, I would say 2002, 2003 is when we first came a fan. That being said, I was drawn out of it for a while because it was just getting too predictable, too much storylines. You really know where it's gonna happen. Everything's predictable. Nothing's surprises you. And just hearing your guys' excitement tonight with Jeff and explaining the show, and you guys excited about them having these wrestlers keeping their names and bringing these old heads back and having an actual game plan and end game and we want to know. We know where we're gonna be 6 months out.
Like Austin Theory's not even on TV.
To develop, I do feel like maybe I should get back into it and drawn maybe attention to it, being that I was kind of drawn from it. Maybe I'm thinking about getting back into it, being how excited it makes you guys.
Put it back
Well,
in the background.
You just touched on Theory because you just brought Theory's name up. Triple, once again, writing of Vince McMahon, wrong. Theory is a good young talent. I'm not taking anything away from Austin Theory. But Vince McMahon propelled that kid to the moon. You just said you're going to leapfrog over top of all these other guys that have been in here paying their dues, busting their ass. And it's not to say he hasn't busted his ass too. Theory, like everybody else, you work hard to get to where you at that level in WWE in a company like that. But you just shot him up and just propelled him over top of all these other guys, man. No, slow that down. You got to slow that down. And that's exactly what Triple H is doing. He still got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I'm sure at some point, maybe sometime in 2023, before it expires, he's going to use it. He's going to try to cash that thing in. But even that, give him more time to properly build up. Vince McMahon just pretty much leapfrogged him to the front of the line. And that's just not the way it should be. It's not fair to all the other guys in the locker room. And it's also, honestly, not fair to Theory because now you're putting this pressure on this young guy that's probably not quite ready for it yet.
Should have been Matt Riddle.
It should have been Matt Riddle. I agree. Absolutely. And, I mean, I agree with what you just said, Matt.
That's what it is.
I agree what's going on, Miz and Bucco. But I agree 100% what you just said, Mac. And it's a lot to do with Vince McMahon was always quick in terms of, like, pulling the trigger on things. He would always just want the quick thing to happen. Give this guy the briefcase, shoot him to the moon. Put this match on there because it's like, we have to get it done now. You don't let the slow burn happen with something like a feud or somebody. You build them up slowly. That's the one thing that WWE needed to do. So, I mean, I'm glad that we don't even need Theory. Theory is not needed on television right now.
Right.
You keep him off. You make people forget about him a little bit. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, Theory's back on television when you least expect it. And you could build him up. And you can make him look stronger, and then when eventually he's ready to make the cash in, there you go. The moment feels bigger, and you could give him the championship right there. So I think that Triple H is waiting to play the long game a little bit more, whereas Vince McMahon would always just want to pull everything off and immediately and not let things just build up or let people get built up.
I'll call you, bro. Let's get it.
Are they going to separate the undisputed title? Like,
I think they might.
It's like, why do you still have two belts if it's undisputed? Like, either make one belt like you did when you first unified all the titles, right? The unified heavyweight title was it. And then they were like, well, we need another title on Raw, so we're going to make the universal title. Right? So now you have these two titles again, and they haven't been unified into one belt. Like, either give SmackDown a title and just let all the wrestlers be able to go after whoever they want. Don't just make it predominantly SmackDown or predominantly Raw. Use the entire roster, right? If you think the SmackDown title is going to have a good angle with like a guy on Raw, let's say Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles, you just do it. You know what I mean? You don't just, oh, well, he's this brand and he's that brand. I think let's get rid of the co-branding and either make an undisputed champion that can go from show to show, or go back to what you did before. And because the guy walking around with 2 gold belts this is ridiculous now. We've been like 6 months.
They gotta do the same thing with the tag team titles too at this point.
Yes.
It's getting ridiculous.
Right.
Because look at the women's division. There you got a Raw champion, you got a SmackDown champion. So it's like you gotta do this. You can't just keep having Roman Reigns and the Usos just controlling the men's division base, essentially. You gotta
on the show that's predetermined.
Figure out a way to split those titles up. And I think Triple H is probably his next big move he's working on, honestly. I think Jeff said it best. With this return of Karrion Kross, that's probably what's going to ultimately happen. With maybe somehow, honestly, Roman maybe still walks out of Clash at whatever it is, Castle, at the Clash of the Castle, whatever, with the title still, and then you build up him Karrion Kross and Drew, and a big triple threat match. You think you said this, Jeff? And then you have like a maybe 2 out of 3. It's 3 like whatever 3 falls or whatever, 2 falls, basically like 2 separate matches basically. And whoever wins the first fall wins the one title. Whoever wins the second fall wins the other title. And then there you have it. And maybe that's where you get the titles off of Roman. Where Roman wins neither one of those falls, and he walks out there with nothing. And Karrion Kross leaves with one title, and Drew leaves with the other. Because that would be the best way to do it, Jeff. I love when you said that. I really thought that was a great point, man. I think they should really do it that way.
And thank you, Mac, I appreciate that. And I also think what's going to be happening too, I don't know if you guys heard the news, the WWE draft is going to be coming back soon. So you figure after Clash at the Castle, if you want to try to get that title, one of those world titles back on Raw, you could have Karrion Kross win one of those titles and you have him drafted over to Monday Night Raw. Or if you want to bring Drew McIntyre over to Monday Night Raw, that's how you could get one of those titles over there. And eventually, if you want to split the tag team titles, or if, God forbid, you just want to have one set of tag team titles, you need to get more tag teams, obviously. But then you could obviously, if you want to split them up, you have one team win the tag team championships, you move them to Raw, have them get drafted over there, and you keep the other team over there on SmackDown. Because I think the draft coming back, actually, you have some intrigue with the draft now. And it's not Vince McMahon just like trying to throw pieces here and there without any idea of what creative direction you want to do with it. So, I mean, you could have Karrion Kross win the championship. He might still be part of SmackDown at that point. He could win one of those titles, and then all of a sudden the draft comes around. Boom! Karrion Kross drafted in Monday Night Raw. There's your championship back on Raw. Or you can have like the Viking Raiders. I'm not going to say the stupid name that they're called now. The Viking Raiders win one of those tag team titles. You could throw them over on Monday Night Raw. Have them get the drafted over there. You have somebody else be the SmackDown champions. So you have the draft that's going to be another intriguing element, because I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they bring the draft back right after Clash at the Castle, and you start seeing moving pieces, and that's how you're able to split those championships up, is you have one person win a championship, and you have them move over to Monday Night Raw, and you keep the other person on SmackDown going forward.
I love it. Any final topics on the WWE before we end it right on one of our closing topics?
I'm just excited to see Monday Night Raw. I'm actually intrigued to see what they're going to do forward, how this Dexter Lumis intrigue is going to come back, what Matt Riddle is going to say on Monday Night Raw. I believe there's a United States Championship match. I think it's AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley. That's going to be fun. And also, I want to see what happens with the women's tag team tournaments. Who else is going to come back? That's the intrigue. On the past few episodes, somebody has come back pretty much every single show since Triple H's return. Who's next? Who's going to be the next person?
I think this week on Monday Night Raw is going to be the week where you see Bayley truly assert herself into the championship fold again with Bianca Belair. I think she's already obviously kind of making steps towards that, but I think this week is when she's going to really, if something big is going to happen where she's going to truly propel herself right back into that championship mix. And I believe that she makes some kind of a big move this week. Io and Dakota Kai obviously have advanced in the women's tournament last week, and we'll get to see, I'm assuming, Asuka and Alexa Bliss do the same thing, which is going to set up a semifinal matchup. I don't know if you noticed the brackets, the way the brackets were set up in that tournament, but they're set up for those two teams to meet in the semifinals as opposed to the championship round, which I found a bit intriguing. I would have thought it would have been they would have been on opposite sides of the bracket, and it would have been basically the setup for them to be battling out for the champ for the women's ultimately for the women's tag team titles. But one thing I do got to say about that tournament, before we close this up, is I feel like it was a bit rushed. The teams are all makeshift tag teams. None of them. Only thing close to a real tag team in that tournament is Dewdrop and Nikki ASH, and that's only because they've been together the longest. I mean, otherwise everything else is just a makeshift tag team. Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez. Come on, that team doesn't even look right together. That doesn't even look right together at all. And then you got the two girls from NXT.
They intrigue me, Mac. I gotta be honest. Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark.
And Zoe Stark
Nikita Lyons.
But the problem with these teams are, one of the big I have with all of these teams are, you can take all of these girls that are in this tournament period, and there were like 4 sets of former tag team champions amongst them. You had Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. You had Dakota Kai and Raquel Rodriguez. You had Natalia and Tamina. And there was and then Alexa Bliss and Nikki ASH. Just like 4 different sets of teams, but they're not even on the same team now. Now you've just got them mixed together in different teams. It's just, I feel like it was a little bit rushed, and that just shows the failure that Vince McMahon did to the women's division overall and in general. You know what I mean? So I think that's my only negative thing about this women's tag team tournament is none of these are real tag teams. It's just kind of a shame that let it get to this point with the women's tag team division. Well, and ultimately, I think the biggest shocker also is going to be at the end of this tournament. When this tournament ends, I got a feeling we're going to see Naomi and Sasha Banks all of a sudden reappear as well. I just got this feeling. That's going to happen at the closeout of this tournament.
Mac, that's a guarantee. I think this is the reason why this tournament was even set up, is because they're going to probably have Dakota Kai and Io Sky win the titles, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, when you least expect it, here comes the boss music playing with Naomi, and you see them walk out. You have a face-to-face, and you have pretty much what you had with John Cena and CM Punk years ago. Would be like, well, you might have won this tournament, but we're still the champions because we never lost. So you're going to have that little thing going on, who is the actual champions. But one thing I want to put an intrigue in this whole thing is, why did you not bring up an NXT team like Toxic Attraction, who really has nothing going on in NXT right now? You figured you have a team right there. They already lost the tag team championships in NXT. Why don't you put them up on the main roster? Gives me intrigue there. But I believe what could happen, and one of the most intriguing things, is what's going to happen during the NXT Women's Championship match between Zoe Stark and Mandy Rose, because I think it could really set the seeds on what's going to happen in this women's tag team tournament, because I have a feeling if Zoe Stark does not win, you're going to see Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons, I think, in the finals against Io Sky and Dakota Kai, because they're going to want to feature these 2 women on the main roster and pretty much show you 2 more women they're going to be adding to the main roster, because these 2 have nothing really more to do in NXT, and you want to throw them out there, get them built up on WWE SmackDown, and see what they can do, because SmackDown needs a couple of more really good women on that roster. So you have these 2 you could put right there, build them up, and maybe get them ready for a future NXT, tag team championship, or WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, as well as maybe a single stars future SmackDown Women's Champions going forward. But in terms, real quickly before I close it out, I think that in terms of the Women's Championship on SmackDown, Shayna Baszler has not only got to win, she has got to win convincingly. She has to destroy Liv Morgan. She has to be going out there. She has to beat Liv Morgan quickly. Liv Morgan selling an arm injury. She has to go out there and she has to make it convincing and be like, the old Shayna Baszler is back, and this is a reason why. She just made quick work of the SmackDown Women's Champion, and it's a new era. It's the Queen of Spades era on SmackDown. Then you can maybe build something else with her and Ronda possibly in a feud going forward between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, which we all would think would be exciting for that. So I would love to see Shayna Baszler just pretty much destroy Liv Morgan at Clash of the Castle and become champion convincingly.
Alrighty. As we reach that 2-hour mark of the show, we're probably gonna save one of your favorite sports memories. We'll probably begin the show next week with that. Make sure you guys tune in to next week's show. It's gonna be lit. A lot of great things we're gonna be talking about in that one. Let's wrap it up. Well, it's getting closer to the NFL season. You know, we do want to start ranking these players on where we think they're gonna be going into the season and where we think they're gonna finish. So, um, I wanted to hear your guys' opinions on where do you guys think these players are gonna finish the season. We're not looking at it in the category of the overall career. What have they done for the entire career? We're just looking at it of who's your guys' top 5 receivers that's gonna finish the 2022 season. I'll probably start with mine, and then I'll let you guys think for a little bit about yours. I'm gonna start by probably mentioning some honorable mentions. Obviously, one of my favorite receivers in the game, and Mike Evans. He doesn't top my top 5, but he's going to be an honorable mention alongside with Debo Samuel and Tyreek Hill. Both great receivers, could be in the top 5, but doesn't make my top 5. I'm starting in going from 5 to the best. I'm going to go at number 5. I'm going to rank Stephon Diggs. I think he's a great receiver, and he still is a top 5 receiver in this league. But I just think as the years go by, we have a lot of younger receivers that's entering into the league that's putting up numbers. And I know stats doesn't define everything, but usually if you have numbers, you're entering in the top 5. So that being said, I'm gonna round it off with Diggs at number 5. My number 4th spot, it's probably gonna shock most people here and listening and most people around the NFL community. That's the Giants community here on YouTube. I'm gonna have a Devontae Adams at my number 4th spot. Reasons being is because I get it. You know, him and Derek Carr played together at Fresno State. I get it. They have chemistry. But when I look at it, you know, he was like probably like the most dependable target for Aaron Rodgers, which has like he had so much targets. And do I think he still gets his targets from Derek Carr? I just think Derek Carr also has chemistry with Darren Waller. He also has chemistry with Renfro. He also has, you know, some running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. We know the rookie they just grabbed, so the rookie running back that is going to be catching balls as well. So I just think with as much ribbons as the Raiders have on offense, I just believe that his numbers will drop. He is still going to be a great receiver. And I know a lot of people is still probably going to rank him as the number 1 receiver, but I just have him at number 4 go at the end of 2022 season. Running up at number 3, I'm gonna have Justin Jefferson out of Minnesota. Now I get it. People may say, how can you have Justin Jefferson over Devontae Adams when Dirk, Cousins is throwing him the ball? But going into his 3rd season, and you just go look at this guy's numbers and look what he's done. I mean, like the Minnesota Vikings has a reliable tight end also, and has Thielen, the other wide receiver, with Osborne, the third wide receiver. But that being said, Jefferson continues to produce numbers, and him and Cousins has developed a chemistry, and I just have him finishing at number 3. Number 2, I'm gonna have Chase. I just think Chase taking a year off of college, working on his game, and with the chemistry he's shown to have with Joe Burrow playing at LSU, is 1,700 yards as a rookie. And I just think he's shown to be able to catch the balls at all different angles. He still has some areas to improve on, but at the end of the day, Chase had shown to be a high-level elite receiver in his rookie season, and that number is just going to continue. So I have Chase as my number 2. Now I think my number 1 receiver is obvious. He was stuck with a bad quarterback, and Matthew Stafford was stuck in Detroit. So that being said, now they're paired up. Look what they've done. Now they bring in someone like Allen Robinson from I forget where he came from. I know he played on Chicago, but I forget where he played before that. But Jacksonville. Thank you. Bringing in Allen Robinson, I believe right now with him there, and you still have the other stud. You still got Jefferson. So that being said, like I do believe that Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp will continue their chemistry, and Cooper Kupp had shown. Same like I mentioned about Chase, like he's a little bit older. He's probably his 5th, 6th season in the league, but he's shown the ability to, when he has a good quarterback throwing him the ball, elite quarterback in Matthew Stafford, that was stuck on Detroit, and him at Jared Goff, he had shown when they put the 2 of them together, man, look what you can accomplish. And I just think they continue doing what they're doing. So I have Cooper Kupp in at my number 1, and that's how I'll round it off and end in the 2022 season. And I'll pass it over to whoever wants to go next.
Well, Zion, I got to jump all over that, brother.
Go right ahead. I love it.
You are drinking that fantasy football Kool-Aid, man. A little bit, man.
Devontae Adams at 4.
I'm just saying, look, my list is. I'm just gonna give you my top 5. I'm not even gonna give honorable mentions, and we're not gonna all obviously agree on these lists, and that's what the fun part about doing these things are, man. But at number 5, man, I'm gonna bring in Justin Jefferson is my number 5. That guy has been lights out in his first 2 years as a pro, and I just don't see anything changing in year 3. Justin Jefferson is an absolute stud, in my opinion, at the wide receiver position. He's only number 5 because I just think these other guys must have been doing it a little bit longer, so they just get a little bit more respect from me for right now. And then number 4, man, that's when I'm going to slide Stephon Diggs at number 4 for me, man. I think as good as he was in Minnesota, man, I think he really, really, really found where his perfect spot in his perfect quarterback with Josh Allen in Buffalo, man. So Stephon Diggs I'm gonna slide him in at number 4 for me, man. Number 3, I gotta. This is where I'm placing Cooper Kupp, and it's because you just can't deny what he did last year, and he's been good his entire career. To be honest, he's been solid. He's been a good receiver, a little under the radar. But last year he absolutely exploded. But you can't expect that production again like that. That was off the chart numbers, phenom numbers. Guys just don't duplicate that unless their name is Jerry Rice, things like that. Unless their name. So I think he's going to take a bit of a step back, but he's going to still be very, very good. And at number 2, man, look, you can feel how you want to about the cheetah. But this guy is phenomenal, man. He's nothing but phenomenal. And sure, he's not on the Kansas City Chiefs anymore. He got a little lesser version of a lesser quarterback to get him the ball. But I think he's proven enough as a good enough receiver that it almost doesn't matter who his quarterback is going to be. They're going to be able to get this man the football, and he's going to still continue to make electrifying plays. And that's, if you don't know who the cheetah is, I'm talking about Tyreek Hill. That's who I got at number 2. And then at number 1, man, look, Devontae Adams is just, to me, he's on another planet. To me, he's just phenomenal. And I think the Raiders are going to find out this season just the talent they got when they acquired Devontae Adams, man. It's going to do wonders for Derek Carr. I can't wait to see these guys on the field together. And they're going to be fun to watch, man. That AFC West division, man. I got Devontae Adams as the top guy at that wide receiver position in this league right now. And the reason, honestly, I didn't do like what you say what the hell like
Jamar Chase.
Well, Jamar Chase has to do it for more than 1 year. I don't annoy guys I'm sorry. You can call me what you want. I don't annoy guys after 1 year.
For the record, I just want to point out, I do like your list, and I don't think that they duplicate what they do, but I can also see Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. The reason why I grade him as number 1, I can see that chemistry carrying him to like 1,600 yards and still leading the league in receptions. And not receptions, but yards and stuff like that. But I do like how you include Cheetah. I do like how you include Cheetah because I didn't even include him in my top 5.
Like there's other guys like D-Hop I had to leave off my list because of the suspension and all of that stuff. But don't get it twisted. He's also another one of those guys that if he was playing this whole year, he probably would have been on that list too. But just because based off of the suspension this year coming up, I just had to leave him off this year, man.
Go ahead, Adam.
I like it.
All right. Well, my list is going to be a little bit different than everybody else's. Number 5, I have Bernie Mac, a.k.a. A.J. Brown, as my number 5 receiver. The boy is a beast. You're going to see it in Philadelphia with Devontae Smith. There's going to be coverages everywhere. I think he went to the right team. I think they're going to do a little bit more passing. So A.J. Brown, I loved him coming out. Still love him now. You people probably think I'm crazy. But that's just me. My number 4 guy will be, I'm going to put in Mike Evans there at number 4. Can't knock a man. Can't do it. Man's done. He's been in the league for 8 years. Has 1,000 yards, a season,
Every season.
and he's still got Tom Brady there, which means he's probably going to get another 1,000 yards this year. At number 3, here's where it gets funny for me. I'm going to put Jefferson here at number 3. I like what he's doing at Minnesota. He's Randy Moss light, Randy Moss 2.0 for them. Let's hope that they don't do what they did with Moss, and that's kind of get him disinterested, and eventually he goes to another franchise. But I think with Kirk Cousins still there, and Kirk Cousins is a compiler, he's going to compile Justin Jefferson to 1,000 yards. So, at least, so I think he'll be number 3. My number 2 guy is Jamar Chase. Actually, it's Devontae Adams, and then number 1 is Jamar Chase. But Devontae is going to be number 2. The only ways I see Devontae is number 2. And I took Cooper Kupp off this list. I should have stuck with my guns. You know what? I'm going to stick with my guns. Fuck it. Okay, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase at number 2, and then Cooper Kupp at number 1. The reason why I kept Devontae Adams off this list is not because I don't like Devontae Adams. He's going to be a close second, but he's got Hunter Renfrow there. He's got Darren Waller there. He's going to have the back coming out of the backfield. There's going to be some other guys that are coming in that are going to get his carries and his catches and targets. And while I think he's still going to put up monster numbers, I just think you're not going to see it because he's going to take so much coverage away from the other 2 guys. The other 2 guys are going to be given the ball just because they're going to be single covered and be open. Hunter Renfrow had 1,000 yards last year, but he didn't have anybody like this on the other side. So, I expect his numbers to go up. But anyways, I said Jamar Chase is number 2 because what he did with Joe Burrow is something that doesn't always happen. Doesn't always happen when you throw 1,500 yards, and basically those 2 guys carried a team like I haven't seen, almost like what Odell did in 2016, right? He carried a team with an offense that wasn't great, but they also had the other 3 receivers that helped too. But Jamar Chase did a lot for Joe Burrow's growth, and I think vice versa. And then I said number 1 because you know what, Cooper Kupp did something that nobody else damn near other than Jerry Rice has done. And that's damn near get 2,000 yards receiving, and that's something that's hard to do. And let's not act like he had world beaters over there. He had Robert Woods for half the year, and then he had Odell Beckham for the rest of the year. So it's not like, Odell was good, but he's a shell of himself. Now he's going to have Allen Robinson. And if you don't know how good Allen Robinson is, I guess you should go watch some of that Jacksonville tape because the guy can ball out. And he was underutilized and due to quarterbacks that couldn't get him the ball in Chicago, and Matt Nagy and Allen Robinson, not for nothing, was also injured. But with all that being said, he's going to a team now where, the first time in his career has a competent quarterback, not named Blake Bortles, not named, Justin Fields or Nick Foles. He's got Matthew freaking Stafford, the guy we damn near feel could be in the Hall of Fame. I think Cooper Kupp gets closer to 2,000 yards again because Allen Robinson is going to be eating up a lot of those deep routes. And so that means there's going to be a lot of underneath catches going to Cooper Kupp. So that's why I put him number 1.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit off the grid here. I mean, I love all your guys' stuff, but I'm actually going to go a little bit off the grid, and I'm going to actually put 3 of the 2020 wide receivers in my top 5 of that class. And my number 5 is going to be Devontae Smith. I know you picked A.J. Brown before, Mac, but I think that A.J. Brown is going to be the one getting the coverage and the double teams. And I really believe Devontae Smith is going to take full advantage of those. And I just think this kid the ceiling is really high for this kid. Great route runner. He should have had 1,000 yards last year if Jalen Hurts wasn't too busy passing the ball to Jalen Reagor. I love what this kid brings to the table. Phenomenal route runner, gets open in space. I think Devontae Smith is going to have a big second year going into this year for the Eagles. And my number 4, I'm actually going with Jalen Waddle. A lot of people talk about the cheetah being the one that's going to take off. He's going to be the one that can take it off the top. Guess what? So can Jalen Waddle. And he can not only take it over the top, but he's a guy that you get the ball to him in a slant, he's gone. And he had a phenomenal rookie season as well. So I believe that Jalen Waddle, just like with Devontae Smith, I think Jalen Waddle is going to take advantage of the cheetah taking all those double teams, and he's going to be able to take advantage of those one-on-ones, and he's going to explode for an even bigger year in his second year. Number 3, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I mean, the chemistry is there right now that you see with him and Burrow. I mean, just what you saw in 2021, those two guys just know where they are. They obviously carried over from what they had at LSU. I think those two are just going to build off. Maybe not have as big of a season as they had before, but it's going to be close to it. So I expect Jamar Chase to still be very consistent. I think he's going to have another big year for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's going to be just up there as one of the best receivers in the NFL, again, putting up more phenomenal numbers. Number 2, I'm actually going to go with the big-time wild card, and it's because of the quarterback that Adam talks about, his number 1 receiver, Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen does not get the respect that he deserves. He's another guy that just puts up 1,000 yard after 1,000 yard season, 100 catches. This guy just continues to go out there and put up consistent seasons. And you know for a fact that Justin Herbert is going to go to an MVP-like level this year. Keenan Allen is going to be the number 1 beneficiary of that. So I think Keenan Allen is going to have an even bigger year this year if Justin Herbert is going to be talked about in terms of the MVP quarterbacks this year. And number 1, I had to pick Davante Adams because I just believe that this Raiders offense is just going to be something that's just going to be special this year. I think Derek Carr is going to be the MVP conversation. I really believe that Davante Adams he's the most complete wide receiver in the NFL. Great route runner, goes deep, can take a slant, blocks well. This guy is the type of wide receiver you build your team around in terms of like your number 1 guy. I think Davante Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. I think he's going to do so much for that Raiders offense. He's going to open up things for guys like Renfro and Waller. I really believe that Davante Adams, it's just scary to think about that he could even be better than what he was in Green Bay. So just to round off my list, I had Devontae Smith as my number 5. I had Jalen Waddle as my number 4. I had Jamar Chase as my number 3. I had Keenan Allen as my number 2, and I think Davante Adams is my number 1.
And that, folks, goes to show you how the horsemen, we all have differences in opinions as it comes to things of these natures. Like, none of us we're not sure if any of us are 100% right, but I'm pretty sure none of us are 100% wrong either. I think we all have interesting lists, and we have them for the reasons, and we've made them for the reasons that we've had them. I mean, our opinions are different. Like all three of my co-hosts here had Jamar Chase in their top 5. My opinion is I just don't – I got to see guys do it more than once before I can start putting them into the top end to put them in the top of anything. That's just the way I feel about it. Everybody obviously doesn't feel that way about it. So that's the beauty of this show. That's why I love my horsemen. That's why we do this for y'all every week, man.
Let's get it. And as we wrap it up, I do want to ask you guys one question because – Jeffy did mention Keenan Allen, and I do respect Keenan Allen. I just think that injuries kind of plagued his career and his respect he gets. And another receiver that I did want to point out that I do respect that Adam gave Mike Evans a spot because Mike Evans is one of my favorite receivers in the league. The question I have to you guys is we all kind of feel that Justin Herbert is going to play his ass off this year, is going to probably qualify for an MVP type of season if everything goes well. My question to you guys is, how is your guys' thoughts on Mike Williams?
I think Mike Williams. I
almost thought Jeffy was going to say Mike Williams there, but he chose.
That's what I thought too.
Keenan Allen.
Consistent. Yeah. I think Keenan Allen's more consistent than Mike Williams. I love Mike Williams too, but I think Keenan Allen, he's that security blanket for Justin Herbert. That's why I picked him.
Well, Mike Williams has been coming on the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think Allen.
Really
Allen's not slowing down though, so that's why I picked him. Allen's still great.
I think with Mike Williams, what it does is Mike Williams getting paid is going to open up Keenan Allen. Remember, Keenan Allen hasn't had anybody like this in a while. They just paid Mike Williams to do it. Mike Williams, at first, they thought was going to be a bust, but he turned it around. And I think you're going to start to see him ascend as well because he's quietly going to have. I think that's the reason why we need to look at these Chargers as legit Super Bowl contenders and legit, MVP candidate for Justin Herbert because he had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams last year and damn near threw for 5,000 yards. Now he's going to get healthier and have more guys coming into the fold. I think it's going to only benefit Keenan Allen because this is the way I look at it, right? You double one guy, you go to the other. You double that guy, you go back to the other. You know what I mean? That's just how it's going to work. I mean,
And you have Eckler to worry about as well.
right. And I think that's what the Raiders have the same problem. Is like you double Devontae, there's Hunter Renfrow. You Hunter, there goes Darren Waller. You know what I mean? And what do we got? We got nobodies right now. We got guys who can't even get out the hot tub. To go play. Yeah, we have Richie James making catches off of Karam passes. You know what I mean? Like we're sitting here like, oh, look at our receiving core, Wandale Robinson, who
They got
didn't get a
Hoyt,
pass.
Darius Slayton.
Yeah, okay. But it just to me, it's just like that's what I love about football, because it's not like the WWE. You can't just write in Roman Reigns as the champion every year. It kind of has intrigue and different storylines, and guys emerge. And this is where we'll see if a guy like Mike Williams can emerge. Can really make us forget about Keenan Allen, because he got paid like a number one. So let's see if he is the number one.
But that's why I went also off the grid with my top 5 and why I picked those 3 receivers from that 2020 class. I agree with
you. Put Devontae Adams on my list.
Yeah, you didn't even put Adams on there. I didn't put Kupp on there because I just believe that those 3 receivers from that 2020 wide receiver class are special.
We're idiots.
I think all 3 of them are special players, and I really believe we are all idiots. We are about Cooper Kupp's gonna have
We're idiots. This guy doesn't have this guy on. I don't have this guy on. I'm sitting here like, man, Devontae. I'm sitting here making a case like the Raiders are going to be good, and Devontae Adams doesn't even make my fucking top 5. Like, how credible
I don't disagree with any of y'all lists necessarily. Mine's just different. Just like all our lists was different. I mean, none of us had the exact same list. We had some of the same guys.
I'm the dumbass that put AJ Brown on there just because I like AJ Brown.
I'm the dumbass that's taking a chance on 3 receivers that aren't proven yet.
I do like that Waddle, dog. I do believe in that same strat that you have in your mind about Waddle, because I think with Waddle and Hill, that's a dangerous combination. And if they can,
who I really want to put on this list, but you're gonna think it's crazy, is Juju Smith-Schuster.
I was thinking about it.
Prime have a big bounce back year, man.
Yeah, I think he's going to the right team. CeeDee Lamb, I think, but I'm just saying, Juju, people laugh at Juju, but, you put him with a healthy Mahomes, not a washed-up Ben Roethlisberger who could barely throw past 5 yards. Now you put him with a guy who's going to actually, he has nobody on there. He's going to be the guy, and I know that he didn't do as well, but, I think he's going to have a big year.
You know why we didn't pick Debo? I didn't pick Debo because I don't know about Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance being such a huge question mark at quarterback, it's making me why I don't think Debo is going to have that huge of a year. Plus, are they still playing him as a hybrid player? Is he going to be exclusively a wide receiver? Or is he going to play running back too?
I would love to see what they do with Debo.
He's Debo, bro.
I would love to see what Debo does.
He is Debo. You know what I mean? And he's going to get it done, man. I think he's going to get it done regardless.
I'm going to say something that people aren't going to like or think is weird. Possibly if the 49ers are in playoff contention, Debo Samuels will be in consideration for the MVP. That's
not outrageous. I could see it.
That is my take. That is my premium
Metcalf. Does he have a bounce back year even though he's got no quarterback?
Not with Geno Smith.
No. I would even give Tyler Lockett some love because Tyler Lockett's another guy that's great every year. I actually think
Geno Smith. I forgot that guy was started.
I'm sorry. I respect Tyler Lockett, but no.
Oh, Geno Smith. Give Tyler Lockett his due. The dude is just consistent as well. He's been
but Wilson is not.
I'll tell you what Tyler Lockett is. Tyler Lockett is that guy every year. You hope you can acquire on your fantasy team because he's going to win you a championship.
Not with Geno Smith.
He's a beast, but now Ray Wilson's gone.
Lockett is good.
With Russell Wilson, I give you that. With Geno Smith, I'm just like,
exactly what Adam did.
What about those broadcast receivers? What about guys like Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton? Would you think about them with Russell Wilson now?
Just get hurt from the Broncos?
Well, I'm gonna throw another name out there.
That was Tim Patrick.
Because we've all thrown out Jamar Chase out there, but you forget about his counterpart, man.
T. Higgins, man. I was thinking
also,
about it, man.
They all had over 1,000 yards. All 3 receivers had over 1,000 yards.
Tyler Boyd, I think, was just a little bit under.
Just a little bit under? Okay, I'm sorry. Well, yeah.
I would T. Higgins, that's a great one, Mac. I think if Jamar Chase wasn't there, I would actually
Scary Terry.
There's your love, man.
With the
I'm
best
surprised you didn't
quarterback he's
put.
played with his whole career.
And Mac, we'll get into that in our show because yes, I've got some nuggets for you there. But I'm surprised you didn't put him on your list because you were in love with that guy. So
I love Terry McLaurin. You know, it's really sad when we can talk about all these other great receivers that are around the league and we can't anywhere close with any of ours because ours suck so bad.
We're hoping that Shepard comes back and does well. We're hoping that Shepard comes back and does well. Hey guys, we're relying on Shepard this season.
That's awesome.
Shepard's good when he's healthy. The problem is he's never healthy.
Sonny better be dropping some bars when he gets into the end zone. Hopefully he's not dropping balls because we need him to score touchdowns. But this guy can't even get on the field. I don't want to talk about the Giants anymore. They give me a headache.
Didn't Sterling Shepard he lead our wide receivers in touchdowns last year?
No, actually, it was Slayton. Slayton did. Slayton had two touchdowns.
I think that's tied. I think that's tied with Sterling Shepard. I think Shepard had two.
Shepard had two, I believe. He only had one.
I think he had two.
The first game of the first touchdown of the season was Shepard, and he had nothing else after that. That's pathetic.
Sounds like the rest of our team.
Andrew Thomas had more touchdowns than Kenny Galladay.
Oh my God. Chris Myrick had more touchdowns than Galladay and Tony. Just
I feel like Daniel Jones caught more touchdowns than Kenny Galladay, and he didn't even catch any touchdowns.
He had more impressive catches than Kenny Galladay.
He had a one-handed catch against Carolina.
Hung on to the ball. I was surprised.
And he got drilled too. I was like, wow. There you go, Napoleon. Daniel Jones, such a dork. He gets up. He's just a dork. He's just a dorky guy.
Eli was a dork too. Eli was like a dork.
Eli was a hick dork though. You're like, all right. He was like, all right.
Eli face.
You got the little Southern twang, the little thing, Louisiana Bayou boy. You're like, you got the Manning name. You got Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looks like an accountant. Says in every friggin' sentence. Well, I gotta play better. Like say something other than man.
He does that all the time. It's like it's annoying.
It's like, wait, this guy is so intelligent he can't even string a sentence together without using like one sentence. You can't hey Daniel, how's your day? It was good.
Another wide receiver I'm gonna throw out there, Elijah Moore on Buko's team. I think Elijah Moore is another guy that could have a very good season.
I think he'll have a good year too.
Watch out for him or Rondale Moore on Arizona. Like the two Moore guys.
Amon St. Brown.
I like him a lot.
That whole draft class is so good. You can throw out a lot of guys. I love St. Brown too. That whole 2020 wide receiver class was special. You could name at least 5, 6, 7 guys that could be coming out of that class that you could say could take jumps in their.
I'm gonna tell you another dark horse on the low. He plays on a very bad team though, on Chicago. That did Darnell Mooney, man.
I like Darnell Mooney. Yeah,
serious potential.
I'm telling you right now.
I do too. I love that pick, Mac. I'm glad.
Allen Robinson is gonna have a huge year. Huge year.
I think I agree with Mac, not to disrespect Chicago, but I just think that Mooney's the only legit person they have on offense.
No, they have Montgomery too. He's solid.
Montgomery running the ball. Yeah. And Justin Fields, he's gonna make plays, bro.
Yeah, Justin Fields is gonna make plays, but I can totally see that
Justin the Croc baby
between Fields and Mooney doing something,
Fields and Mooney sounds a weird name. Fields to Mooney.
Yeah, Fields to Mooney. Oh, how truly. What rookie wide receiver you think is going to have the biggest year? I think it's Garrett Wilson. I say Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, of course, but I know you guys maybe. I think Mac doesn't really like Drake London as much as I do, but we talked about that. But I just think with him and Kyle Pitts,
Drake London.
Jameis Williams.
I love Jameson Williams.
I gotta go with my man from Penn State, man, Jahan Dotson, man.
I like it.
It's a good one, bro.
Oh, I'm gonna go with the guy from next to Scary Terry, the kid from Penn.
Or George Pickens.
Washington fan on the low, right?
George Pickens. Oh my God. We took Wendell Robinson. Oh, George.
Don't forget about the kid out in Kansas City, man.
Oh, Sky Moore, yeah. Sky Moore's gonna be good. And the kid from Indianapolis, Alec Pierce. He's gonna be solid too.
Not to make this a depression topic, but what wide receiver from the Giants do you guys think is gonna have a good year?
Way to buzzkill.
Everyone stays healthy.
What a buzzkill.
Shepard.
You know, like you bring
Early
Zion to the
shepherd.
party. He's like, hey, I brought Zima. I brought Zimas. You know what I mean? Like everyone's drinking. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's drinking
There
hard
goes
alcohol.
Said
He brings
Zima.
Zimas to the party.
Jesus.
Here's some Smirnoff.
But
Some
now, on some
Smirnoff
real
Ice.
shit, Zion, if Kadarius Toney can stay healthy, I have all the confidence in the world they will have a huge year.
I'm with you on that.
That's true.
But he has to stay healthy.
I think
You know what?
Robinson's gonna have a sneaky.
You know what? You took mine. I'm going to say Wendell Robinson, motherfucker. You know who's going to have a great year? Darius Slayton for the Washington Red Commanders.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Shepard. If he's healthy, I think Daniel Jones is gonna look to him. So I'm he's feeling
You said
Shepard.
if he's healthy, he's
Yeah, if
he's
healthy.
never been healthy.
Never healthy. Mac, who the hell is ever healthy on this
Oh,
team? All
oh
them
my
are hurt.
God. Reggie
he's
James
never
is going to be the
healthy.
leading receiver of the Giants.
He's literally never been healthy though. He's never been healthy his whole entire career.
That's sad
ever.
because when he's actually healthy, he's actually probably our best and most dependable guy.
I love him when he's on the field. The problem is he's not on the field enough.
Yeah, but you know what the scary part is? Tony's becoming that guy too. Tony's starting to become a mini Shepard.
Well, it's not like not for nothing. He was injured in college for the first 3 years of his career, and then he blew up his last year. I'm like, oh great, is this what track we're on right now with you, Tony? You're going to be injured a couple of years, and then the last year you're going to blow up, and we're going to pay you, and then you're going to suck again. Like I don't want that.
Yeah, and Galladay's just injuring our
You know-
hearts on the field because he sucks so much.
Yo, Kadarius Toney, I think he's gonna have a big year, but he's a weird dude, man. Like, take that damn hat off when you have the damn. Let me see your locks, man. At least Odell, he had them crazy. I know you have crazy hair. Let's see it, man. Show it off to the world. You know, don't hide it under that big damn hoodie of yours. It makes you look like a weirdo.
Some people said that he looks like Voldemort from Harry Potter.
No, he's a weird looking dude, yo. You're just like, you are built weird. Your brain is built weird. Your hair is built weird. Your face is built weird. But hey, the media's some clowns. So
Yeah. He could be as weird as he wants. If he's going out there pitching 80 passes, going over like 1,300 yards and getting about close to 10 touchdowns and winning us games, I could care less how weird he is.
Who was the dude on another team that was prominent that was having like a second career or something like that? And they're all like, oh, you know, hey, second career, that's great. And Kadarius Toney goes out and makes one rap album. Like, oh my God, he's an animal. He doesn't care about football. What's going on? It's like, what the hell? How does one guy like, oh, well, you know, I'm building houses over in Europe, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this. Like, oh, okay. This guy's making rap songs. Nope. Bad news. He's rapping about nothing. Bad news. Can't do it.
Jumbo Elliott used to practice law in the offseason back in the day.
Oh my God! I'm sure. Bill Parcells was like, "Come on, Jumbo, you can't do that. You can't practice law. We can't have a career outside of football. God forbid."
Daniel Jones is practicing cornhole in the offseason. Like
Daniel Jones is a professional cornhole player. Nobody says a goddamn word. Nobody says a goddamn. Guy is literally using his arm to throw beanbags in holes for a living, right? And nobody says a damn word. Kadarius Toney has a meeting with Sony and the whole world blows up. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, he doesn't care about football. We don't even talk about our hillbilly quarterback with the Adam's apple playing cornhole professionally. I'm just saying, think about that, right? He's a professional cornhole player. He's already got his second career going. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to start as a Giant quarterback. Might as well do something else. I'm going to be a professional. What football players like, you know what? I'm going to do professional cornhole as a side gig. You know, that just tells me all you need to know. That's why they didn't pick up your fifth-year option. Don't worry, guys. I'll pick up that money playing cornhole. You'll see. When you see me on the Vegas Strip, it won't be because I'm at the Cat House. No, it's because I'm at Caesars playing cornhole.
Catch him on the Ocho, man.
Yeah, it's like the World Series of darts. You're going to see him there too.
That is awesome.
That's funny.
Oh man. Well, guys,
I'm gonna get that jersey. I'm Daniel Jones. I'm a professional cornhole player. That's what I'm gonna get. I wonder if he wears number 8 for cornhole. I need to get his cornhole jersey. That's the only jersey I'm gonna buy for Daniel Jones is his cornhole jersey.
Wonder what his high score is for cornhole too. Like what?
I wonder what it is. He couldn't. I know he's an avid golfer, so I'm surprised he's not trying to play, in a pro-am tour. But cornhole, you went from football, bro, to a beer man's game. You can sit there and drink beers and throw a beanbag.
maybe that's his calling.
Man, because throwing a football, it's not.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Alrighty. As we wrap it up, does anybody have any final topics? If not, give your channels a shout out. And
Daniel Jones has a huge Adam's apple. Sorry, I had to point it out.
I got one more final thing to say, and it's about that disgrace known as the Brooklyn Nets. Hey, Kevin Durant, shut the hell up. Go out there, practice with your team, stop whining and trying to get people fired every single second because you're complaining about the fact you want to go to a championship team. Kyrie Irving, same thing with you. All these guys are freaking circus. Somebody please play some circus music in the background because that's exactly what you get. Exactly what you get with the damn Brooklyn Nets. I'm sick of it. I am sick of it.
That's why
you never know.
Maybe Ben Simmons jumping off friggin' Zoom calls because he's sad about the fact they talked about him on something. Brooklyn Nets, these players, shut the hell up. Get ready for the season. Go out there, maybe actually try to win a championship this year, and just stop with the bullshit going on.
They can always play cornhole. I'm sure Daniel Jones can get them in.
I am sick of these stories with this team already.
Well, they could be the cornhole three. You know what I mean? Kyrie, KD, and DJ. They both have like short names. They could be that. They could be KI, KD, and DJ. No, we don't want Steve Nash in there. We don't want anybody thinking or having to make a determination. This cornhole, this beanbag has a string coming off it. We can't throw that beanbag. It's going to throw off the weight trajectory. Nope. We have these perfectly good beanbags over here that we're not going to use. We're going to think about maybe not. Fuck Steve Nash.
He's a former soccer player. He might decide to kick it at somebody instead of actually
fuck him. You know.
I agree with that. Fuck it. I'm so tired. I'm just tired of the Nets. I'm tired of them.
It looks like he should be an underwear model. Give me a break.
Get out of here. Let him do TikToks with his family somewhere else. Just get him the hell out of there as a freaking I'm tired of him. I'm tired of this damn team. Like they drive me nuts. This goddamn franchise. I really
I don't care about the Nets anymore.
We went down that rabbit hole real quick. Like I said, just the players in the NBA in general drive me nuts. It's just not the game I grew up watching.
It's their hairstyle, man.
It's just not.
Their haircut.
The inmates run the asylum in the NBA, and that's
just
not
LeBron.
what it's supposed to be.
Well, it's like, can you get a haircut? Really? Like, I've seen some of these guys in the NBA, like, dude, you can't get the clippers out, bro. You can't get the clip. You make millions of dollars, and that's how you coming out on the court? That's what you looking like?
Don't even want to brush his motherfucking head, bro.
Kevin Durant needs that like Rogaine because it's like, dude, either go bald or don't go bald. Like, come on, do LeBron thing. At least LeBron has hair plugs. You know what I mean? Because his headband keeps getting bigger every year. It's like, why don't you just wear a hat right now? Just wear a beanie, because it'll just do the whole job, I mean, oh, God, don't get me started with the NBA. Talk about a circus. Might as well watch Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey with these idiots. Freaking haircuts
it's ridiculous. But
don't want to lift weights.
Circus is right now in Brooklyn. It's moving its way to the next city, but I think it's staying in Brooklyn until like this whole disaster just stops. I throw my 2 cents in there about that because I'm just so sick and tired of like every single day some new idiotic story is coming out about this friggin' franchise right now and what stupid thing Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or Ben Simmons said today. Like, it's a joke. I'm tired of rooting for a team that I've rooted for 30 years that's already a joke, becoming an even bigger joke every single day. And it makes me like angry and pissed off as a fan, just like witnessing this whole thing, because they actually have a chance if they stop being such morons and actually go out there and play basketball to win a championship still. But no, Kevin Durant can't do that. He's got to try to fire people. He's got to try to say this. Don't love the GM. Want to fire him. But you signed a 4-year contract extension with him. You didn't think about that, did you, Kevin? Kyrie Irving complaining about he hates this person, he hates that person, trying to get to LA. Nobody wants you, Kyrie. Nobody gives a damn about you. You suck. Nobody wants you on your team. Too bad. He
doesn't suck. He's just a pain in the ass.
Well, I'm just letting you know. I just joined the professional cornhole league. I am going to be joining and beating Daniel Jones this summer. Come out and see me at Vegas when I stomp on number 8's Adam's apple all the way back to New York. Okay, he won't know what hit.
Drinking a Zima at the end of it too.
He's going to be celebrating with Zion brings the Zimas to my victory point.
Zimas.
Wow.
I haven't drank those since I was in high school. Like
Same
literally.
thing.
But those were a party buzzkill. You're drinking
I don't
those.
even
You
know
are
what
not going
Zima's
home.
is. What is Zima's?
Go look it up. Okay,
Look
it
it up,
was.
man.
I'm not going to tell
Is
you what
that
it
some
is.
Foot Loco shit?
It's certainly not a grown man drink. I'll
It's,
tell you
it's,
that.
no, it's not. It's one of
No,
those
it's
when
not.
you try, you're like, oh man, this is great. You're like, and then you see the girls drinking, you're like, yeah. You go back and you go fill up your fake ass beer that you fell on the floor. You're like, let me fill this up with water and shake it up real good, and just hey, ladies, yeah.
What are you talking about? This is Sprite I'm drinking. I don't know
this
what
is
you're
Oh
like
no,
light.
this is not Zima. This is not Zima.
This
What are
is
you
7
talking
Up.
about? This is hard seltzer. Rah.
I love
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Like my friend's like, oh, I love hard seltzer. I said, are you a dude? He goes, yeah. I'm like, then why do you love hard seltzer? He's like, it tastes good. I'm like, you need to go get your man card checked. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you need to go get that.
Revoked.
Yeah, check it at the door because I think they forgot yours. You may want to go get your receipt.
I love it. That being said, let's give all our channels a shout out, and then we can have Mac show up with our outro. That being said, you can find me at Zion Zenith. Thank you guys all for supporting us on Premium Takes the Four Horsemen. We really appreciate you guys being here today and supporting us on all our future endeavors. Please go and check out all these guys' respectable channels if you guys hasn't already. And yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm passing the mic to Adam.
Well, obviously my name's not ACI, so don't.
ACL.
ACL. That's ACL. Yes, my name is Adam Costas Ligament. No, it's not. It's not at all. No, all kidding aside, you can find me Adam Costas on YouTube. The Hurry Up. I do a stand up, which is basically just me talking to the camera and telling you about some things I've seen at practice or football or whatever sporting topic comes up. Mostly the Giants, but I try to do more things. But I also do the Hurry Up Live with Jeff. We're going to try to do get a show date nailed down because soon my hours are going to change as well, so I won't have as much free time during the day to do a show here and there when I have time, but we'll discuss that later. And then you can find me Premium Takes with these four horsemen of YouTube. That's right, we run this show. That's why we're crazy. We tell you anything goes in this show. We are like the Attitude Era of the WWE. You listen to us, you're going to get everything. Okay, you're going to get it all. And then the last show is with my man in the top right corner named Mac the Giant Fan. Mac and I do a show. I'm going to butcher it right now, but forgive me for I am not Mac. I do not have the sexy Barry White voice that he has, but we do the NFC East Round Up. Sorry, my voice just cracked there. I sound like a 13-year-old. And my voice just cracked there. And that was just like it's like someone just squeezed my balls. Somebody, you ever seen Friday when the guy's grabbing his junk with the vice grips? That's just what happened to me. Someone just vice gripped me. Anyways, let me try that again. NFC's real deal. NFC's Round Up. I still butchered it again, but anyways, Mac and I are doing this 5:30 every Wednesday. Next week, we have a hot show, a lot of hot topics coming out. We talked about Scary Terry. You're going to find out more about Scary Terry on Wednesday. I got some nuggets for you. Anyways, that's me. I'm Adam. I'm going to pass this thing to Jeff. I've talked too much. Go, Jeff.
Well, you can catch me over at NYGJeffyT3285, where I cover the New York Giants, Brooklyn Nets, New York Mets, and WWE Wrestling. You can catch me with these three guys right over here for the Premium Take Show. We're going to be moving to Saturdays very soon for the football season. So just keep your schedules open. Everybody throw up those fours if you haven't already in the chat. Throw up those fours for the Four Horsemen. Thank you, everybody, for coming in the chat, supporting the Premium Take Show tonight. We appreciate it so much. And I just want to make mine short and sweet. Mac, close this out like you know how you always do it.
Well, obviously you can find me at MacDaGiantsFan, MacDa Giants fan. It is football season again, folks. So I'm going to have all that New York Giant content coming at y'all on a regular basis. I will have my True Blue preview every Sunday before the game. I'm going to have that True Blue aftermath live stream following each and every New York Giants football game this season. And Adam just said on Wednesday nights, you can definitely catch me and Adam at 5:30 each and every Wednesday with the real deal NFC East Round Up.
See?
Let's go, baby.
So much better than me. So much better than me.
It's like NFT's roundup.
And like my guy just said, thank you all for joining us with another episode of Premium Takes, man. So the show will be getting moved to a different days in the next upcoming weeks. Keep you all tuned in for that, man. But we do appreciate the love and everybody supporting the show. Shout out to the hardcore sharing your platform with us.
Hardcore sports.
And we just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in today, man. And it's just going to keep getting better and better, man. Football season is now upon us, and that's what we all do best. We talk that football talk, especially that New York Giant talk, man. So just want to thank you again for joining us. Another episode of Premium Takes. Hey.